To serve with hearts and minds, one nation bounding freedom, peace and unity.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. All right, so to open this event, I'd like to invite the Women's Editor of Vanguard newspapers, Ms. Morenike Tayo, to deliver the opening remarks. Ms. Morenike Tayo. Okay. I think she's the big one. Okay, let's put our hands together for the women editor of Vanguard newspaper, Morenike Tayo.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this very important event. We are particularly grateful that you have found time to spend this very important moment with us. This is Jerry Awoshika, the chairman of Access Bank. Chief Bode Adediji, Mr. Lionel, and all are very, very important guests present. Thank you for coming. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome you all this year to this year's International Women's Day commemoration by the Vanguard, the best read newspaper, walking the talk towards a gender-balanced polity. The time is now. I congratulate you all for your excellent contributions and accomplishments on every level in society, and especially in the upliftment and empowerment of Nigerian women. As our country stands at a political crossroad and our women are agitating for equal participation, the Vanguard brand continues to stand for justice, fairness, and all other values towards a better life for the people. Let me assure you that Vanguard, the best read newspaper, is also the best read newspaper for women. We take women seriously and everybody else, and we are committed to and hence invested in this annual commemoration of the International Women's Day. We are proud to be associated with every single one of you, and we look forward to further engagements going forward. Thank you very, very much indeed, and happy deliberations.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for the best editor with us. All right, so I'll quickly do the honors of introducing the chairperson of this occasion to deliver her welcome address. She She's no other person but Dr. Mrs. Dere Awoshika. And before she comes up stage, I'd just like to quickly go through her profile before we welcome her to deliver our opening address. Dr. Awoshika is an accomplished administrator with over 3.5 decades of experience in public sector governance. She was the Pioneer National Coordinator, Chief Executive of the National Program of Immunization, Director in the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Director of Department of Community Relations and Youth Development in the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, and rose to the level of Permanent Secretary in the Ministries of Interior, Career Management Office, in the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, and Federal Ministry of Power. In her career pathway, she attended the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies School in Plateau State in the year 2005 to 2006, where she obtained a member of the National Institute, MNI. She retired as a Federal Permanent Secretary in January 2013. Dr. Awoshika joined the board of Access Bank in April 2013 as an independent non-executive director, and has been the chairman and vice chairman of the board Credit and Finance Committee and the board Audit Committee, respectively, in addition to membership of other board committees. Dr. Awoshika is a member of the Board of Advisors of Africa Initiative for Governance, Advisory Council to the Olu of Warri, Council of the University of Warri, and member governing board of the Nigerian Prize for Leadership, a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacy. She holds an M.Pharm in Clinical Pharmacy, a doctorate degree in Pharmaceutical Technology from the University of Bradford, United Kingdom, in 1981 and 1985 respectively. Obtained a postdoctoral certification in Clinical Pharmacy from the University of Leeds Teaching Hospital in the United Kingdom. She is currently Chairman of Access Bank PLC, CEO of Josephine Consulting Limited, and a non-executive director of Capital Express Assurance Limited, and chairman of the International Foundation Against Infectious Diseases in Nigeria, and past chairman of Shams PLC. She is the initiator of the Christian Benevolence Foundation, a non-profit organization based in Lagos, whose main goal and objective is to cater for the needs of the needy and less privileged in society. The Christian Benevolence has been catering for less privileged and the needy for the past 18 years. She's happily married to Dr. Olubenga Awoshika, whom she always refers to as her greatest strength and support aside God Almighty, and she's blessed with 3 children and 5 grandchildren. May we please put our hands together to welcome Dr. Awoshika.
Very much. Thank you, Mr. Ayodele. Thanks very much. Good morning, fellow women and our distinguished men in our midst this morning. Good morning. First, I thank God for giving us grace and opportunity to come together to rub our minds as the month of the women go to the end. Today is 31st, and it's so strategic that Vanguard is now taking on today to close the chapter and say we should walk the talk. Talking all morning. Thank you very much for the invitation, Mr. Silent, and the entire group. I also want to salute here the co-speakers today, and then our fellow women as we discussed. I want to use this opportunity through you to salute the chairman of Vanguard, I don't know if he's chairman, but he is chairman, okay. And to thank him. He's a great supporter to my family, and I would like to publicly acknowledge him. Very uncommon man with an uncommon disposition as he said, very respectful to all and honor all. And God continues to honor him all the days of his life. Thank you very much. I've been having a good chat with some of our women this morning. I see why you are holding it. And one of the things that came to my mind is we're going to walk the talk. So this is going to be so challenging to all of us. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I want to welcome you to this auspicious occasion organized by Vanguard Media Limited, publishers for the Vanguard newspaper. As you said, it's the first read newspaper. You know, sometimes when you hear something, you try and check it out, and you find that really a lot of people read Vanguard. They want to read Vanguard to be able to get the truth to congratulations. You are walking the talk. And now, you have chosen the topic, walking the talk, towards gender equality. It's a great passion of mine. Equity is a great passion of mine in every aspect of life. So gender equality is a great passion of mine. Therefore, I would like to express my gratitude to the team that thought this out and also that decided to invite me to give this opening address to officially kick off this event. As this event goes as walking the talk, I know it's not only about us listening to the welcome my sister. I'm greeting you, distinguished. It's not about us gathering here and listening to one person. It's about us thinking, getting inspired, and walking the talk. It's no secret that institutions and government houses across Nigeria have been recording low participation of women in both elective and appointed positions since the nation assumed independence. And why has this been so? The nation has assumed independence for quite a long time. So we need to think through why has it been so. Some concerted efforts to rectify this dire situation has been made by both government and non-government organizations. A lot has been done. A lot is still being done. People still get together. We still shout, we still talk, we still have meetings, we still write letters, we still lead delegations at all levels, local government, state and federal, but nothing has changed as such. Some progress, but no remarkable change. So gender inequalities, we have patriarchal ideologies, stereotypes continue to exist in all spheres of our Nigerian politics. The effects of this continue to show in the policies and in the lack of it that promote and protect women's rights, thereby preventing women from developing and exercising their full human capabilities to play a significant role in a sustainable democracy. And I'd like to take some keywords. The aim of it is sustainable democracy. If that is so, we are all guilty, both men and women, of not allowing equity to reign, because then we are deliberately putting Nigeria down. We are deliberately slowing the progress of democracy in Nigeria, because all the inequities amount to us not being able to do the right thing for our country. So the issue is so weighty. It is beyond men, it is beyond women. It is about today, it is about the future that we hold so dear. What then are we doing? We are going to tell it right to the face of all of us that we need to come together, and the concerted effort needs to be real. The concerted efforts need to achieve. So the International Women's Day community has long imagined and still imagines that this gender equality, this world free of bias, this world free of stereotypes, the world free of discrimination is necessary to break the bias. The bias is too costly. It is not allowing democracy to thrive. And the reason for democracy is to have equity. And equity gives you justice. And justice gives you peace. And peace gives you progress. You can't break that chain It is something that is in our coat of arms. Unfortunately, we sing the national anthem, we don't remember what is on the coat of arms. The coat of arms has been designed from the moment that we have democracy, and it is said, equity, justice, peace, and progress is on our coat of arms. Today, what coat are we wearing? We don't even wear the coat of arms. So we have injustice, we have inequity, women are put down, children are not looked after, there is insecurity. All comes from inequity. Everybody is important who is a Nigerian citizen. So, this has been imagined across the globe. And it has been imagined that women are a major aspect that has been left out. Like I always tell people, God is the creator. You didn't create yourself. Whatever your faith is, God is the creator. And He chose to create, He created us male and female. It's a variety of the other. He created man in His image. The spirit in you and the spirit in a man has no ear, it has no head, it has no heart, it has no women biological features, it has no male biological, it's a spirit. That spirit is what is dominant in making decisions. That spirit in you is what makes you. The spirit in Nigeria and in many countries of the world is taken from only one side, the male spirit. We need the true spirit of mankind to be able to get equity in all ramifications. The subjugation of women, especially in Africa, has become a moral challenge. And despite the fact that I've shown that this is so, aggregate women that are arguing for women in positions of political authority that promotes bipartisanship, equality, stability, and sustainability are not listened to. Women at the moment represent half of the population of Nigeria, which is about 49.3% as at 2020. Will anyone say that is not a significant figure? Let's just think about that. How do you neglect nearly 50% of your population to be at your own detriment? There's no gainsay of it. 50% of Nigerians are women. How do you neglect them in decision making, policy making, working the talk, doing the legislative, doing the executive, doing the judiciary, which are the three arms of government? How can you neglect 50% of your population in that process? You have already taken a judgment on the nation. You have already said this nation should not move forward. Let's leave 50% behind. So 50% will be moving. The pace at which that 50% moves will be very slow because of incompleteness. A man is not complete except there is a woman. Both spirits need to stand together to be strong. And right now, only 5% of our political positions are occupied with women. Even when women do run for political office and succeed, they encounter many barriers to advancement. I know a few, perhaps the English can tell us. They encounter so many things as they struggle to garner support from their male colleagues in government. In fact, it's been so much in the air that the expectation when you see a man and a woman contesting, it's not about capacity, competence, merit, or whatever. It's about a man and woman. That must change. That cannot be. That is not correct. We don't need to preach it. We don't need to sell it. We don't need to beg it. It is not correct. And if it is wrong, it's wrong. If something is right, it's right. Therefore, any right thinking being, male or female, will always need to think right that give a man, give a woman that has capacity to be able to engage in whatever political position or whatever appointment that is given to that individual. So Nigeria has the lowest representation of women on the presidential cabinet. It's just 15%. And sometimes we clap. We say, oh, they are trying. They are not trying. there are many women with capacity that can do the job. South Africa and Ethiopia has 50%. South Africa and Ethiopia. And I'm sure those of us who have been to South Africa and Ethiopia and have mixed, their women are not different from our women. But there are 50% representation on their executive cabinet, where women account for 28% of the total ministers. In Sudan executive, Sudan, 28% they have. Women account for roughly 6% of the senators of the National Assembly in Nigeria. 6%. Rwanda and South Africa have 38% and 35% in their Senate, respectively. Rwanda, a country that has been worked on, and South Africa, a country that is struggling, and women help in the struggle. They have 38 and 35% in the Senate, and Nigeria has 6%. The Sudan's upper house has 27% female senators. Among the 5 countries analyzed by PwC, Nigeria has the lowest female representation in the highest offices in Nigeria. Why? Our men should ask the question, not us. Why? What's going on in Rwanda, in Sudan, in South Africa, in Ethiopia that is not here? Is it that we don't merit it? Is it that we can't have women that have competence and capacity? Is it that we have been blinded by some thoughts that people term cultural, but it's not in our culture? I have thought through the culture of Nigeria in various aspects, whether in the north, whether in the east, whether in the west, whether in the south. The system by which a woman gained power may be different, silently, but women in all these areas, they speak where it matters and is heard. The elders in our areas, when the woman leader comes out of the community to say something, they say, "Mama, don't talk." And the king obeys. That's why the king's mother is a very, very important. If you want to get anything, you go to the king's mother. You will get it. What has changed? If you want to get anything, you go through the women in most communities. It has not changed. It's a system that exists within our culture that says don't say no to those women. They knew that the cradle from which they came are those women. And they knew that the womb that bore them cannot hurt them. They also know always that the one that rubbed them on their hand will always protect them. Let's have a mindset that is changed. Let's stop saying in our culture, which culture says that don't listen to women? I've been thinking about it. I've had the privilege by God's grace to travel across this country, more than 767 local governments. And I've used the women in the 9,556 political wards, where they have women leaders in all the political wards. Perhaps we women should carry along all the women, not just educated women, not just women of elite, but women across Nigeria. So as we continue to commemorate the World International Women's Day, I think the time has come for us to change a lot of prejudices, biases about women in general. Because the type of concerted pushback against the gender discrimination bill as recently experienced should not be experienced again. Maybe we should be looking at how and who did what and who did not do what. Our arguments are good. Our pushback is helpful. There is strong evidence that as more women are elected, family-friendly and diverse policy making increases. Our nation is about families. The families make up the nation. And if you can have family-friendly policies and diversity, you are definitely going to build a stronger and vibrant nation. So as seen in such countries where these publications have been made, in France, that publication is there. Else you see some of their presidents in Sweden, in the Nordic countries are women. In South Africa has been shown, in Rwanda, as well as Egypt. Women tend to promote fairness, transparency, and impartiality. But we must ask questions. Why? Why do women promote fairness? Why do women promote transparency? Why do women promote equity? It's because all belong to women, both men and women. They are born of a woman. And a woman will always support any child, male or female, that comes with strong strength, capacity, and competence to be able to address issues. So it is inborn in us to be fair. It's inborn in us to be transparent. It's inborn in us to be impartial. It's God-given attributes to women. Let's make use of them. Women are strong advocates of structural reforms that have a redistributive agenda. Note the word, redistributive agenda. If there's an agenda we need in this country, it's redistributive agenda. The world is too concentrated. Let's be fair. Let's be honest. Let's be able to put forward the right foot so that we can stand. We need a redistributive agenda. Is it in health? Is it in education? Is it in economy? Is it in housing? Whatever name it, we need to redistribute, because when we do an agenda and we keep making an agenda that only helps a few, women will not stand for that, because it will not help to address inequities. It will not help to address childcare. It will not help to address the social safety net, etc. that can lead to social and economic development and sustainability. Today's event, the team emphasizes that the time to break the bias is now. But if we are being honest, it has been long overdue. We are so used to the way things have been running that we are even unaware of our own biases. We begin to have biases. Even we are women. We are doing an interview, and women are on the panel. You are interviewing, and you say, will they be able? Will she be able to do this job? That's a bias. Why do you want to be a member of the panel with such a bias? You're already going to score her low, because your mind is going to dictate how your pen is going to write. So even we have biases. We have to break the biases in our lives first, and be able to give a chance to all men and women to be able to come out and get the best. That is equity. So these things that we are used to have been running, and as we are unaware, let's begin to get the inspiration to be aware and to change. As a person, to be honest, I hate biases in any form, in the workplace, whether public or private. I want to try those things which will make me do my work. Somebody asked me recently during this women program, and it's a journalist going to interview me. He said, what do I call you? Chairman, chairperson, or chairwoman? I said, really? She said, yes, it's a lady. I said, public chairman. He said, what? I said, in my spirit, I'm a man. God created me as a man in his image. I said, two. What is required for the chairman to do does not have male or female color. What the man will do is what I will do. So why are you going to change my name now? They wrote it the chairman. That's the way they wrote the letter to me when the CBN approved it. I'm a chairman of the place. You want to change my name to chairwoman, chairperson? No, I said, call the chairman. My roles and responsibility are those of the chairman. It is the roles and the responsibility of any position that you are placed in that determine what you do and what you are called. Don't allow anybody to give you a name that does not qualify you for the role that you are having. I'm a strong advocate of gender equity in the political space and in any other space, so that we have both elective and non-elective positions. We need equity. I don't believe, and I don't want to shy away from what I don't believe. I don't believe in equality, whether for a man or a woman. Equality comes in many dimensions. If Lagos State has this, Delta State must have this. Nothing says so. What is the need for Lagos State and what is the need for Delta State? That is the thinking of equity. I'm an equity builder. We must have equity. Women, we are not short of women more than Ethiopia, If they can have 50%, we will get there by equity representation. If the roles and responsibility, capacity and competence is what we are looking for, women have it up to the board level. I tell you that. There are no women, we don't lack women that don't have it. We don't at all. Go to all the wards, you will see them there. Go to the local government, they are there. So it's not only amongst us that are sitting in this room that we have people that are capable. No. We have them across the country in whatever language they speak. Capacity as no language demonstrates is walking the talk. If you chose the topic walking the talk, then we must let everybody walk the talk. A woman who is in the market is walking the talk, showing that her selling things for you gives you life to be able to eat and gives her life to be able to live. And she's contributing to the economy of the country. She's walking the talk. She's paying her dues. She's working in every respect, every table. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, interestingly, gender balance equity in politics is increasing across the continent, and especially with deliberate mandatory gender quotas. So for a nation like Nigeria, there may need to be deliberate mandatory gender quotas in order to bring out the best. Prior to 1995, only a handful of countries have quotas for women. But today, quotas exist in one form or another in more than 120 countries. For example, in June 2000, France passed a law requiring full gender parity. Please note the word gender parity, so that we get it right the way it goes. Full gender parity for most elections. In 2003, Rwanda established a quota that mandated 30% of all government roles be explicitly reserved for women, to mention a few. I made a point to say that any institution in the present century cannot function effectively without gender equity. Equity participation in politics and key leadership positions is good for the nation, not just for women. Women have to be there for us to be able to achieve what we need to achieve. Gender diversity and representation in the political space must not be just a goal, but must become part of our laws. As a woman, we're not going to ask for this position to be given to us on the platter of gold. No, that's not what we're saying. And I'm sure that's not what all the women are saying. Is that what you're saying? No. Thank you. And let's make it very clear. Our distinguished men here, we are not saying give us on a platter of gold, no. Rather, what we're asking for is a level playing field. The obstacles are too many. When I see people going for all these positions, money is an obstacle. Who you know is an obstacle. Cabalism is an obstacle. etc. I'm not going to, as a woman, to join a cabal. I'm not going to. Because it's about service. And if service is the goal, then a level playing ground. A level playing ground will always make everybody to stand. And when you stand, you'll be able to distinguish clearly who is the tallest, who is the next tallest, who is the next tallest. And the tallest is not in height, physical height. It's in distinguishing the capacity, the capability, the wisdom, and all that it takes to be in leadership position. So, we are hoping that the level playing field that will come on as we walk the talk will be devoid of any gender bias. We want objectivity, unbiased environment that people can try and be able to show for their abilities and capabilities. I know that there are still hurdles to cross in breaking all existing biases and gender inequality, but we will get there. As a nation, we need to begin to embrace the reality of the significant potential that comes from having women in leadership positions. Leadership is not gender specific, as I explained earlier on. It's a set of leadership qualities that are inherent in individuals, that are cultivated in person, that we can begin to teach to our young women, and we can also begin to teach to our women in the rural area, so that they will begin to bring forth what they have. Knowledge is power. Let us be able to, in this 21st century, to collaborate, to lead, to include critical thinking in what we are doing. thinking is so important. Let's think before we do. Let's think critically. Let's be able to arrive at the answers in ourselves, for ourselves, in a spiritual way, to be able to get the right way to communicate it. So I'm happy this is a communication organ, Vanguard. You have the expertise, you have the innovativeness, intellectualism, ability to collaborate, to connect, to empathize, and to communicate. Don't communicate to us alone. Communicate beyond the papers. There's need for communication to all the women. The women may not be able to see Vanguard to read, but there must be a way that the women can work. I was telling the president, the chairman, Mrs. Terry, this morning that the women in the world political group, they have a women leader. The states have women leader. The federal have women leader. Let's support them. Let's support the women leader. Let's come around them to be strong, to have a voice. On their own, they're just following inside the party. They're following everyone. Then when there's time to dance, they will tell women that go and make a dancing group. But dance about what? What are we dancing for? We can't continue to dance. We can't continue to wear uniforms. I'm not saying they are wrong. There must be an appropriate time to dance and to wear the uniforms. So you must be able to support the woman and say, look, let us go back and tell the chairman of the party, whichever party, and say, the women are not ready to come with uniform and this to receive anybody because they don't have a voice. They demand for a voice. Let's use our women leaders. Let them just not be decorating on the executive. Let's even be asking them for a deputy woman leader, a zonal woman leader. They have states, but let's go beyond. That way we are creeping with the voice. We need a voice. A voice needs to be heard. That which God has given us through the women leaders at all levels, give them voice to hear. Strengthen their hands. Stand tall with them. Form a brace with them. Form an unbreakable point with them. Then they will listen to us. Let's work together in a positive manner for the good of our nation, which includes the men. So there are steps that may be taken to frame and facilitate the participation of women in politics. That's just one of the steps. We can create a support network group for prospective aspirants through mentorship. I think we have an aspirant, a woman, female president in our midst this morning. I spoke to her on the phone, but I met her this morning. God bless you. God bless you. And we can form mentorship. We can pair them up with already established women in politics, like my sister here. They are established, they are groups. NGOs are also already creating an association to foster political aspirations for women. For example, Elect Her NG, Emerge Women, African Women on Board, and others are more that can always be done to create enabling environment, to create support, to create encouragement, to create strength, to support in every way, to allow women to engage in decision and policy making process. All of us cannot be there. Let's support those who want to be there. We're not going to constrict people to be there. I personally don't believe in constriction. Go and ask that, oh, so must come and do so. Why should I say must come? Let it come from you. Leadership is a God-given thing. The inspiration needs to come from you. But when you come out, let us support. As the next year election approaches in February 2023, Nigeria cannot afford to leave women behind. It is impossible. Let that message be loud and clear. We've gotten at a pace in our economic, all development, physical, health, whatever. Women cannot be left behind if we must develop in Nigeria. Other nations have spelled it for us clear. They have taken that wisdom. They have moved forward. We must not be behind giants of Africa. Women in this nation are giants in very many respects. Getting women into positions of political leadership should be prioritized and treated with urgency. It's an urgent matter. For any political party, it is an urgent matter. However, women will continue to face outrageous financial and social costs as they aspire to run for office or succeed. So when we are supporting women, let it not be by word of mouth. If it's 1,000, we can collect the 1,000. We must be able to put the work to our talk. When Obama started, was from communities they were collecting money. Any woman who stands and people believe in you, let them be able to show, you must show what you believe in, that you surely believe in that thing. So let us encourage and endorse competent younger women, and maybe old ones as well, with political aspirations. We should support them from the ideal point of view all the way to the election phase. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my honest desire that at the end of this gathering, we will be able to come up with insights, with decisions, with a roadmap that can help the women folk to create policy makers, achieve gender balance equity, make sure that the policy for 2023 involves women in the spirit of International Women's Day 2022. Can we therefore find answers to the following questions, even as we talk together today? How can we deliberately increase women active participation in the coming election and beyond? How? Not the way, it's now. How? How can we further push the National Assembly to pass all necessary, and I use the word necessary, all may not be okay, but the necessary ones that are good for the nation. Anything that we are doing is the nation focus. How can we entrench the interest of women generally to achieve gender equity? I want to use this time to salute our salute you. I've been seeing you on television as you move together with the women to get the National Assembly to work. How can we stop all forms of discrimination against young girls being married at tender age? In 2018, only 53% of population can read and write. How can we help at the world level to educate our women, to empower them with knowledge? How can we make a robust presentation to INEC to amend the Electoral Act to accommodate female voters as in other places? It doesn't need, if the INEC should do it, and it is so. How can we push in the effect of outrageous financial and social costs when women aspire to run for public office or succeed in obtaining leadership positions? Women continue to face challenges, financial and social costs, when they aspire to run for public office. So how can we mitigate this challenge? Finally, let me close my opening speech by saying that in today's world, women are more positioned to lead than men. Women just need to overcome the systematic and cultural impose against us, because our real culture respects women. Women need to rise above the mental blockage, the mindset, and break through the glass ceiling. You and I need to start the process and have a can-do spirit that the bias is broken. Together, we join hands to break the bias and work with us towards gender equity policy in 2023. Thank you and God bless.
Please jam those hands together again for that wonderful. Thank you very much, Ma. It was an extreme pleasure listening to you. And I do hope that you've inspired a lot of us inside this room to take action towards genuinely breaking this bias by walking the talk. Alright, so very quickly, because we're running out of time, I'd like to move to the next item on our event line, which is the first keynote address. But before I do that, I'd like to recognize the presence of the editor of Vanguard newspaper, Mr. Eze Anaba, who's been a strong supporter of it. He's always here for every women event we've done in the last few years. And you're indeed a great supporter of women and a lover of one. Alright, so for the keynote address, for the first keynote address, it will be taken by a distinguished politician and entrepreneur with many years of experience in the private and public sector. She holds a bachelor's degree in sociology a master's degree in business administration, and a master's of arts in management. She attended several courses and training within and outside Nigeria. She's an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development Associate. She also attended the Executive Management Intelligence Course 14, where she earned the status of a Fellow of Security Institute, FSI. As fulfillment of a national youth service from January 2002 to 2003, she served with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, afterwards secured a job at the Abuja Geographical Information System FCT as the Pioneer Data Log Officer. In 2018, she was an aspirant for the Federal House of Representatives, Kefi Kuru, Kokona Federal Constituency under the All Progressives Congress, where she emerged second out of the 5 aspirants that contested for the primary election. She's a grassroots mobilizer, a strategist, and a management transformational and a strategist. She served in the 2019 Presidential Campaign Council for Youth and Women in the Contact and Mobilization Committee. She also served in the Presidential Campaign Council in 4 committees: Contact and Support, the Highway Support Groups, Election Planning, Monitoring, and Operations, towards the planning and execution of the leading All Progressive Congress National Women's Conference in 2022. In 2019, she was appointed by the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State to serve as a member of the Nasarawa State Investment and Economic Advisory Council. From August 2019 to December 2020, she served as the Special Assistant, Strategic Communications and Partnerships to the Minister of State for Education, Federal Minister of Education, until December 2020, where she was appointed by the President as the Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, where she contributed immensely to the plight of trafficked persons. She is currently serving as the Federal Commissioner for the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons. Please welcome the compassionate and selfless Nigerian Honorable Imam Suleiman Ibrahim. Please put your hands together for him as he comes to the
Good morning, Madam Chairman, other distinguished ladies there and guests, and Tiene from the Action Aid. Thank you so much to Madam Chairman for setting the tone. I think I'll struggle to match up to your passion. The topic today is pivotal because I believe that it's time for women. A lot is happening around the world, especially in our beloved country, and it's good for us to sit down and begin to think of, the right way forward and where we have gotten it wrong. Because there's no reason why a country as blessed as Nigeria should, be experiencing some things. Well, we know where the gaps are and where we need to address them, but it's key that we begin to chart the course towards the right direction. I have a keynote address next week, but I'm contemplating whether to be the keynote address or to tell you my story. Because I know people love story and people pay into story. And people buy into story, and that's how we create a vision. So I would skip through the keynote address and then I would focus on my story, my political journey so far. My name is Imam Suleiman Ibrahim. I'm a strategist, a mother, and most importantly, a politician for this season of my life. Ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, I'm proud to be a woman and a mother. I'm humbled to be given this rare privilege and honor to address this unique gathering of established, gorgeous, strong, and amazing women. You're truly inspirational. Just listening to the chairman, I feel so inspired. I know that we need to do more. I'm very proud to be a part of this security event. I consider you all to be champions because as women, we go through a lot in our lives every single day. Sometimes they request for us to put ourselves in the back corner, but still we never underachieve. Even when people criticize some women in the roles that they have played, either within the home or outside the home, I told them to go and check. The woman is not on a mandate. If the mandate is wrong, then maybe the output will be wrong, but the woman will deliver 100% and some more. There's a basic and yet fundamental issue that has cropped up our world, which I believe there's an equal basic and fundamental solution to it. There's no problem without a solution, and hence the reason why I said we know where the gaps are and we know exactly what we need to do to address them. The issue and the solutions are why we have gathered here and devoted our time this morning. It's such a busy time for us, and we have chosen to be here this morning just to lend our voice to this cause. And the chairman rightly said that to break the bias, it starts from us, the women who are not doing and even as individuals to know where we're getting it wrong and how we can be able to enable the process, not just for ourselves, but for everybody. The society we live in is marked by profound uneven distribution between men and women. From Africa to Japan to the United States, across the continents, gender inequality exists in almost every country. Inequality between men and women, on the other hand, can take many various forms. It manifests in an uneven and portrays men and women in diverse fields. Disparities, and even disparities in salary. We found that in Nigeria, we never had that problem. But I know that in the UK or in America, you find that some men earn more than women. I wonder why. I wonder how that even happened. Because we all know that when the woman earns in the home, it all goes to the family. But when the man earns, that doesn't happen. So yes, this inequality exists for women over the years. But I'm proud to say that we're making progress. Because if you look at even the 2018 general election, there was a lot of visibility. And I think that is what we need to begin to have. We need to be visible. Because if you don't come out and contest, if you don't show your interest, how do you become a part of any political process? We run a democratic process of the country, and that determines everything that we do as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if we do not show interest, if we do not put ourselves on the line, what I took away from the NSAS protest was that, yes, we've had enough of some processes, but it's not enough to have enough. Because you have to belong to the process to be able to make a difference. When you try to change, something that should be changed through the democratic process by the process, I think that is not heard of. Yes, we've stated that yes, we have issues with the way that the police is being run, and there's a need for reforms, but they are processes, because it's a democratic process. Let's again, when you speak about patriarchy, or you stereotype, when you speak about some religious or cultural challenges around women's political participation, we have to remember that this is democracy. When you're practicing Sharia, you're going to say, oh, it's not proper for women to be or to sell, however you want to put it. But when it's democracy, I think everybody makes that space on the table, because we all see things with different lenses. The men solve problems differently, that part of women. So the problem that we have the right kind of representation, so that everybody will be able to hit their own ambit. If you look at the lopsidedness in even the budget allocations, even when it comes to supporting industries, there are different industries that nobody pays attention to. Why? Because there's nobody to reiterate the importance of those kind of initiatives at the right places. Hence the critical need. The chairman rightly said that we have to be heard now, and this implementation has got to be effective. In 2023, we cannot wait any further. A few weeks ago, there was a proposal for the amendment of the Constitution. People saw it as a setback. I see it as an opportunity to go back to the drawing board and begin to reevaluate the way that we perceive ourselves. When you see yourself as a victim, how do you become victorious? Nobody has to give them the permission to represent themselves anywhere. We have to have some certain kind of allocation for us to make it count for ourselves. No. Yes, other countries have been able to achieve it through their means, but it doesn't have to be achieved by the Nigerian women through their means. The fact is that we have the numbers, and politics is a game of numbers. And when we speak with one voice and put our hands together, there's no reason why we cannot win every single state that we would like to win. So charity begins at home, and this begins with us. I'll tell you about my political journey. I had a contact with politics many years ago in the UK. I was a core member of I was a key member of my own local party, which is the Labour Party, but I was a converser because I didn't have the confidence then to come out and participate fully. But I was a converser, we go door to door, and we ensure that we support the process. But in 2016, life happened to me. We had a major illness in the family, and my son, and I almost lost my oldest son. And that was when I went into contact with God to say that, look, Almighty God, if my son survives, I will dedicate my life to the children of. And my son made a total recovery. When people told me that he's not going to recover, when people have issues with their brain, they never recover fully. My son made 100% total recovery, and even some more. And shortly afterwards, I decided to transfer back to Nigeria. When I came back to Nigeria, I launched an NGO. Because I didn't think that there were platforms for me to fit in, to begin to understand the political terrain. So we formed an NGO alongside one of my associates and friends, Brenda Mara. It's called the Beehive Initiative. And what I realized after a while was the fact that there were many platforms, but there's no synergy. We don't properly advocate and sensitize people. Otherwise, I had no reason for me to have initiative. But I was looking for where to belong, where we can convert women to just come and belong and have the inspiration, have the support, have that sense of direction towards achieving their political goal, and But there was not so we had behind it created a lot of energy, especially in the northern Nigeria, because women felt confident. Yes, there's a lot of stereotyping, there are challenges. It's a man's terrain, but yes, we have a bit of support. So let's at least spread our voices. Let's at least declare our interest. Because that is also a problem for each even come forward. Even within the home, there are challenges. So that was what behind it for women then. Now it's called the Bumblebee Civic Initiative. The name has changed a bit. And the reason why we chose the Bumblebee, the beehive, was because of the story behind the bumblebee. The bumblebee, because of the body mass, never knew that they could fly. So people said, anything that has that amount of weight cannot fly. But bumblebee didn't know. So it went on to fly, and that's the story of women. Because of our weight, people thought that we cannot achieve as much, we can fly, but regardless of our responsibilities and the ones that we have put on, upon ourselves, we still go out there and achieve regardless, and we keep achieving and achieving. So that was why we chose the name Bumblebee or the Beehive Initiative. So the Beehive was successful. That gave me a lot of confidence to vie for the office of the House of Representatives, the Federal House of Representatives. And to tell you that I regret it is never the case. Because some people would say, I regret it because there was impunity, we didn't get the ticket. I felt victorious after the whole process. First of all, it is so cost intensive. Secondly, it is so draining because you have to appease every level of stakeholders. You have to go to them, you have to lobby, you have to romance them, you have to romance their ego, do you understand? So it's so draining, it's so different from the kind of politics that I was used to. But I knew that it was something that we have to learn if we wanted to make a difference in that space. I did my ward tours, I did my local government tours, and I spoke into the hearts of people. I told them my campaign was different, and that's why up to today, with my little engagement in the council, I still have a group of my people because I took a message of hope. I took a message of partnership to these people. That look, it's not about me doing for you, it's about us collectively making a difference. It has got to be up to us. And I said that look, you have to look at people that are coming out to indicate interest because they must have a scorecard. Even if they weren't politicians before, but what have they done in their lives? Even in their family lives. Have they driven excellence? Have they been people of their word? Were they reliable? Were they dependable? I taught them how to look for those kind of qualities in people. I told them how to even, expect what is required for them. Because people don't even know, what's possible for them. People don't know that they could possibly have good health care, that they should have a pharmacy in every ward. Because in my experience, not every pharmacy has not every ward has a pharmacy. So it means that if you need one at all, you have to travel. And these people vote every voting cycle. They actually have not to vote. So what are you voting? So I propose them their process. I made them accountable to themselves, and trust me, even though I lost the election, and I know the reason why I lost, because I was going to local governments, and then suddenly the delegate for the last local government was changed, because I was not the governor's candidate. So that is the story across every party. And that's the story, and women are not the only victims. As long as you don't have a godfather or you don't have whatever it is, you are a victim, whether you're a woman, a youth, or anybody. So we had many victims, and we still have victims from most of these processes. But how we strengthen the system, totally, rests on us. So with the primary election, like I told you, I won the first local government, I was the second and the third one. I had all the delegates changed in front of me. And there was no how you could win without some kind of numbers from that delegate, from that local government. And when we left the election grounds on that day, I ended up with a group of supporters that were crying. But the winner left just by himself and his agent. So how did he win that final election? He knew that he didn't win. There's no winning without supporters. I contested with 4 men. There were seasoned politicians in that area, and I was the only lady, and I came second, according to their results. So what I'm trying to say is that, it shows that yes, I didn't get the ticket, but I was able to work on minds. I was able to direct things. I was able to provoke people's thinking. They tried to believe in the process and in themselves. And up to today, they honor me for the kind of message that I brought to them and for what I represent. Because even without being a member of the House of Representatives representing them, they still see me as a symbol of opportunities for them. Because whatever I'm able to access for people that I do not know, I take it to them. People say as a politician, when you do some support programs, they have to be loud. I disagree with that. Or you have to know the people, you have to be among the supporters. I know that people that are not supporters, they are my future supporters. So we're still going to help them anyway. Because they say, oh, you're empowering this person's people. What are your people? Because they're going to come and fight you. I said, no, everybody is my people. You might not be my people today, but you're my future people. And that's the way we should see it. It's not about benefit. Yes, it's a game of interest because you know what you want to achieve with this support. It's not a selfish drive. And I think that's one of the reasons why women do not make it to some of these positions. Because for some people, or for men, it's a do or die. But for women, it's a selfless, drive. It's a selfless endeavor. So why do you have to kill everybody to get a ticket? Why do you have to go out of principle to get a ticket? And sometimes that really stops us from achieving, from pushing to the finish line. Because we see no reason why we should go out of our bodies to be able to change it, even when we know what to do. All the manipulative things we do know them, but we don't see any reason why we should do them. So I think that phase of the primary election, and what I took away was that there were more women interested in politics. There were more women participating in politics, and I thought that is key. And I'm so excited about the 2020 election. I can't wait to see that the primary election season starts, because I know that there's going to be triple more women. Yes, we don't have the representation across board, but I know 2020 is a game changer for women. It's time for women. Even when you look at the convention process, in our party, the APC, it used to be only a woman leader at the next level. But today, post-convention, we have almost 45 women at the next. We have a deputy treasurer, we have a deputy woman leader, we have an additional woman as well, and we have even the zonal. So I think that we're making progress. The progress is slow, and that's what's frustrating us. So we have to go back to the drawing board and design, the kind of outcome that I would like to see. But trust me, women, it can be done. We can do it. We don't need anyone. We need the men support. We have to matter of the so we don't need everybody's permission. be able to achieve all these set goals. Because we know that when we achieve them, lives will change, we will secure the country, because we have that sense of responsibility when it comes to our country. And there's going to be balance even in decision making, in problem solving, in driving policies, and that is what this country requires at this point. I'll not take much of the time. I hope that I was able to tell my story and be able to take something out of it. And I thank you all for listening. I would like to commend Vanguard for putting this together, and I'd like to applaud us all for taking the time to be here today. Thank you so much for the time.
Please, another round of applause for Mark. Okay, now we're getting to the interesting part, which is the first panel conversation. So I guess in the first panel session, we'll be talking about women empowerment in Nigerian politics and how well we have fared. The idea of how we can affect in that regard. And all right, so I'll just welcome the panelists to come take their seats on stage. The first panelist of this session will be Mrs. N.L.B., the Country Director of Action Aid, who after an appointment in February 2018 worked with various capacities within Action Aid Federation. Notably her role as a consultant supporting Action Aid's International Gender Responsive Public Service under the Action Aid Denmark. She also has a 5-year stint in Action Aid Denmark's MS Training Center for Development Cooperation. Within the last 14 years, NA has worked in over 15 countries across Asia and Africa, leading various Action Aid projects towards realization of the organization's vision to eradicating poverty and promoting social justice. NA comes with over 27 years experience in development work from diverse backgrounds, including the labor movement. She worked with the Nigerian Labour Congress as Assistant General Secretary between 1992 and 1996. She also served in various capacities with USAID for 7 years, providing technical support to ensure NGO sustainability for 155 community-based organizations across Nigeria, and as a child survival specialist, among others. Please put your hands together again. The second person on the panel is Senator Joy Emoli. Please put your hands together for her to come to the stage. Yeah, so the second person is Senator Joy Emoli, CON. She was elected senator for the Anambra North constituency of Anambra State, taking office on 20th of February 2005 after the election of Emmanuel Aiseke was annulled. She was re-elected in 2007, but her second election was appealed by the law firm of the All Nigeria People's Party candidate. After a protracted hearing, Ibekwe was declared the winner on 23rd March 2010. After her election in April 2007, Emoli was reappointed chairman of the Senate Committee on Education and was reappointed a member of the committees. I was appointed a member of the committees on solid minerals, establishments and public service and petroleum resources. down to 3%. Please put your hands together for Senator Joy Moses. The third person on the panel distinguished and honorable women for joining this very incredible panel discussion. I'd like to preface this conversation, which will be centered around women empowerment in Nigerian politics and how well women have fared in our political environment in Nigeria by drawing a very important lesson from American politics, a particular situation that happened, I think it was in 1991, when Professor Anita Hill accused the now member of the Supreme Court Justice Karen Peters of sexual harassment. And she was subjected to all forms of harassment and violence because of her accusation of the then nominee of the Supreme Court, which was Karen Peters. And after 3 weeks of bashing this woman and destroying what was left of her integrity, she went back to the university, withdrew her charges, and lived quietly after. But that particular incident changed something for women in politics in the United States, because the next elections we held in 1992, which was popularly known as the Year for Women, women in Congress tripled, and the number of women in the Senate went from 2 to 6. So there was a remarkable improvement in the amount of women who were elected into offices the next year, carried over by how they felt Anita Hill was wrongly treated by members of the Judiciary Committee in the Senate, for which no woman was represented in that particular committee. Because the debate was if there were women in that committee, would Anita Hill have been treated with such disdain and disgust in the manner in which she was handled, particularly by the committee and in the press. And that spurred women across the country to organize better, to mobilize, and to elect more women into Congress the next year. And I'm laying this foundation because I assume that women are also angry across Nigeria after the gender bills were thrown out of the National Assembly. Without much explanation as to why many of those recommendations were not taken. And I think that 3 of the issues that were raised by women, I think was one of individualship. The second was for 35% affirmative action. And the third I'm trying to recall, but I think there were 3 key issues that never scaled through the National Assembly. And I'm hoping that these issues and the protests that broke out after the National Assembly turned down those bills is going to lead to some level of momentum and action from women going into the 2023 elections, just like it happened for women in the United States in 1992. So I'll open the conversation first by asking Senator Joy Emodi from Anambra State, because it seems like Anambra has the magic sauce. They seem to be electing women every now and then in a state that is highly competitive. Maybe you probably have to share what the secret juice in Anambra is and how you consistently pull it off to elect women into the Senate and Federal House of Representatives time after time, and what lessons women can learn across the country.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. And to think that the toughest state for anybody to do politics is
She will talk. She's also going to talk about it. She's not the one who
not honestly found it easy at all. I use myself as an example because I've seen it all. I've been through that was why I came to this event. I honestly today I had a lot of very important events that I cancelled everything to hear. Why? Because I'm a woman looking at the topic. And secondly, I've been through the struggle to break the bias restricting women to play politics. Bias caused imposed on women by society, bias caused by women themselves. Honestly, I'm the first Igbo woman to be a senator from Anambra State. When I started, honestly, I was, how do I call it? A reluctant politician, so to say. It was the 1994-95 Constitutional Conference. Then I was still very young. And then, it was going to be elected. The women and youth said that they wanted me to contest. But you know we have this very strong Igbo organization, the Ohanese. They said I should not even try it. That the woman should not even attempt, that I will simply go to Abuja to carry it back up and down, my handbag up and down. I even at the state wanted to withdraw. But the youth and women decided that I would not. Honestly, I went into the race. I didn't even have the type of money. My opponent, the man, being supported by all the men in Anambra. I was able to, with the support of youth and women, they helped me to mobilize more. And it was an option A for you have to give up. Fortunately, I won. The one thing I liked, which paved what I am in politics today, was that blackmail. She would go to Abuja to carry her handbag up and down. And when I won, I told myself, remember what they say, Caesar's wife for you must be upon suspicion. You must not be seen where you should not be seen. You should not go where you should not go. Just go there, concentrate, read your, whatever presentation I was going to make, I must be well prepared. And then, only 4 women out of the 309 members were elected. The other 4 women were nominated. Then 301 men, yeah. But I thank God, remembering you should not, she was going there to carry her back up and down. I overstretched myself to do my work. And after that, you know, it so went with the traditional ruler. The traditional ruler from the southeast now gave the achievements because of my performance, I thank God. Then of course, when it was time to contest during the transition to civil rule, I contested to be a doctor in Anambra State because all hell was led to this. Why must a woman contest? I'm coming to your question. But you have to see it directly. Why must a woman who gave her the guts to contest? Then I continue. But you know, one major thing that helped me was my performance during the Constitutional Conference. But then the only thing they had about me then was that I should not even try to, because of what the woman will not break to my mouth. And it was a blackmail. Why must she go? Who will be breaking to my mouth as governor? Then I told them, of course, I will appoint a commissioner for blackmail. I always advise the new ones going into female, going into politics. Please, what you have to do, invest on young boys, young girls, and women. You know, I continue that way. But for the death of Abacha, I was not left into the government house because already my party had cleared the House of Assembly seats, more than half of the House of Reps and Senate. Then it was just I think few weeks ago that it was possible by the death of General Abacha. Then the Senate again, I went into that one to contest. It was a lot of noise making again, coming from the left road. This woman again, why must she go? The one good thing, I think God has always been with me in politics because I've not failed any election. They made me one. I continued again for the student. Why must she go? Why must she go? Again, you must be persistent. Even at a stage, I wanted to give up. Then I found that if I did that, many other women that were looking up to me, but I was getting calls from different parts of the country and internationally. The women I met during the Beijing conference, because I was one of the Nigerian expert team members, they were calling me from different parts of the world. Oh, keep it up, this and that. There was one day I almost gave up. I remembered other women that they would feel that it would be impossible for anybody to contest. For that, I continued. Honestly, I doubled my efforts. Mobilizing men, young girls, young men, going out to people's homes, grassroots mobilization, not just verbalizing it, Because one thing I discovered when we are contesting, I'm not against women contesting. The first of all, you feel like today I don't have the money to contest. No, you don't have to look at that. The only thing is that you have to work 10 times more than men in respect of going into the grassroots. Do you know, every day I will come out and then move into one local government. We go almost house to house, going to you leaders' houses. Those people that they see as modernity, you go into their homes, no matter what your opponent will give them, they will never leave you because they will feel that she came back, she came to my house, women sent in. So it wasn't easy. But then mobilization of youths, women actually did it. Then a lot of support from women organizations and of course men. At the end of the day, what happened? I won that election to be the first woman from the Southeast to go into the Senate. Before I knew it, in short, I was even trying to go out and press. One day I had on television that my degree had been cancelled. After taking my certificate of return as a winner, I had on television that cancelled my election, that I won and collected my certificate and of return and gave to somebody that didn't even buy the form, that didn't even contest the election. It was something else. And it was the amalgamation of some big people, men, young men in Anambra State. I know that maybe some of you knew about my fight then. It was hell. Then I said, this one, even if you take my life, they told me that people are tough, said that I would never get it. Honestly, it was something else. Well, I started fighting for my mandate. After a year, by the grace of God, I won back my mandate. I went to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank God. Then during my second outing, it was easier. Why? Because many people they are able to see. Because performance is everything. Don't just say, hey, because I'm a woman, sit back. That was one thing I discovered. Hey, I'm a woman. So the power is not given out like that. You must come out and prove that you have to work 10 times more than men. You have to respect men. That's another thing. Then focus on where you're going. Eyes of the ball. By the grace of God, that one again, I won. The election was announced. For them to give me my certificate of return again in Anambra State, it was hell. So of course, I mobilized my supporters. We were there and said nobody would leave the INEC office. By the grace of God, they gave me my certificate of return. So I went to the city. And they gave what happened. Then I was there for 3 days time. Somebody that again didn't go for election, how he did it, honestly, I will not know. Still, never even contested. Went through the judiciary, came and took my mandate. They didn't bother me because, of course, I made my mind and made history. Then I now promise my God that the only way I can give that back to what he had done for me will be to support other women to come out. So somebody like Senator Jane. She's a fighter. So she also was one of the people I mentored. When you're going for this thing, don't turn left, don't turn right. Focus on the ball. Anambra State is a place where you have a lot of rich people. None of these women have what they can combine to give to their favored candidates. And all these women there have never been anybody's favored candidate. They made it through mobilization. Even outside Anambra, like the Senator Kechumobo and Senator Kisan, I know the parts, the role I take to make sure that they're also elected. So I thank God with persistence, the grassroots intensive, because especially when you know the history of women politics in Nigeria, it has never been easy. Look at America. It was only in 1920 that the women were able, they were allowed to vote and be voted for. Yes, through amendment number 19. Even Britain, 1918. Yes. And then we should know that society is like against women, not only Nigerian women. The only thing is that Nigeria, we are not thriving. Look at the International Parliamentary Union reports. Rwanda first. Even South Sudan, say this one. South Sudan, South Africa, Nigeria 184th position. Yes, Rwanda first. Their February
Sorry, distinguished. I'm sure you have a lot more time to expand on this on the panel. I'd like to just quickly hand over the panel to Mrs. N.O.B. who will take charge
it's all right.
of the
I know you
conversation.
were able to see why Anambra women.
Oh, yes.
Persistence, that spirit of I can do that and MC organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we look forward to learning more. All right, so quickly before I hand over the microphone to Mrs. Emily, who will take charge of that panel, I'd just like to quickly recognize the presence of Her Excellency Samantha Gifty Bukari, who is the Consul General of Ghana to Lagos. Please put your hands together for her. And I'd also like to recognize the presence of Engineer Dr. Atinuke Wuraola Owolabi, who is representing the immediate past National Woman Leader of the ABC, Honorable Stella Okoti. Please put your hands together for her.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I want to say, Madam Chair, thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to see you again after so many years. Thank you, ma'am. And very distinguished personalities in the audience and our colleagues here. I want to thank you and say a big thank you to Vanguard for organizing this. Today, like the chair of the occasion mentioned, is the last day of March. On the 1st of March, 2022, Nigerian women were given a present by the National Assembly, a month that is supposed to be for the celebration of women all over the world. Our bills were thrown out. And that was how we started the demonstration and the blockade of the National Assembly main gate. We were able to, I want to say a brief about the bills. One of the bills is what we're talking about. I'm happy to have been on the stage. I was also lucky to go to the gym in 1995 as a young woman, as well to go and watch the world proclaim for affirmative action. And the Nigerian government came into the state to say, to make the national gender bill. That's to say, no, 30% affirmative action is too small. We'll give you 35% within the national gender bill. But up till this moment, I wrote some things that should have been a chronology of what has been achieved so far. But the chairman's paper dealt with a lot about the categories of where we are. That at this point, we are in about 6.7%. In the Senate of Nigeria, you have 109 persons, but 8 women are the senators. And it's really unique to find out that from Anambra, we have 2. That's really, really unique. And then, and so what we came out to say in the bill, they talked about lobbying and no lobbying. I want to just mention that this was an 18-month journey. Or within, those who are within were fighting, but for the non-governmental organizations, for the civil society, it has been a long haul. One of it is that if you have, this is a man's parliament, and we want a human parliament. A human parliament is when you can look at the 100% of your population, because we believe that the National Assembly of Nigeria is standing on one leg. You are not doing anybody a favor when you correct the imbalance of decision makers in your population. Rather, you are improving the quality and also progress of democracy in that process. And so one of it was the request for 111 seat. That's 111. And why the request? In 15 states across the country, 15 states of the Houses of Assembly, not one woman as a member of the House of Assembly. And you have women committees, and men are the chair, men are the members. How does that bring any form of development? Our African adage says, he who wears the shoes knows where he pinches. There is no man that can tell you how painful it is to be in the labor world. There is no man that can explain that. And so our attitude there is that when you have three, we have 3 constituencies in every, state for Senate. And we say bring in 1 more seat and let all the women contest for it. That means you are going to bring in 36 plus 1. And then you can maybe make progress. These are things that were instructed into the constitutions of Rwanda. In South Africa. South Africa is 50-50. They demanded for 50-50. And it's there in their constitution. So this is one of the questions. And then also, in the constituencies for state houses of assembly, we are asking, put one extra seat in every constituency. Let women contest for it. And so when all this, so this is the quest that we're talking about. We are not asking for, a lot of people kept pointing us to the fact that the Constitution is non-discriminatory. So why do women now want to put something about discriminatory? It's already discriminated. That seems to be a man's constitution, and we say no woman, no constitution. So the second, the other part is citizenship. When you are talking of citizenship, many men in Nigeria, they can go out of Nigeria and they marry, they get green card, they get citizenship of other countries. If they go out and marry and they bring in, they also, become citizens of Nigeria. But as a Nigerian woman, you cannot do that. And so, is discrimination not there already? And then you go into indigenship. I come from Benue, and I'm married to somebody from Anambra State for many, many decades now. But then I'm a state-led person. This is something that happened to Amina, Amina Mohammed, who is the number 2 in the UN today. It happened to Kojo Iweala as well, and many other women. As women, we have no tribe. Humanity is our tribe. But you cannot be stateless. You should be free to move. And so the issue of indigenship is on ground. And then you have 35% affirmative action. We are talking of the party positions. And we're tired of having women leaders. They take advantage of women leaders. They use them for mobilization of women across board. And so we are saying, give us positions. I'm just coming in from a meeting. In the past 2 days, I've been at the retreat for the IPAC, the inter-party body for political parties. And we are saying, what are the women? And we are asking them, from even your own offices, we will see whether there is inclusivity, of women or not. But we are asking the political parties to have 35% of their positions reserved for women. They should be able to get that done. We are also asking for 35% affirmative action for appointing positions. And these appointing positions is something that you have already committed to. So why can't you just enshrine it in the Constitution? Constitution is not a dormant document. That is why the bills, that is why since 1999 there have been so many amendments, so you can do that for your country. And so I just give you that that's the background to the blockade of the National Assembly main gate. The fact that we blocked the National Assembly main gate does not mean that we didn't know that there are other gates. If we said nobody will enter, nobody. If we wanted 10,000 women, we will bring the 10,000 women down. And the reasons is about, people are developing. It's such a disappointment, and doing that in the week of Women's Month was very degrading. On day 10, we finally entered the assembly. It wasn't because we didn't want to enter that we are the gate. We are the gate to register, while we were there, and for them to take decisions. The House of Representatives was able to receive their decisions. But we didn't get any major effort from the Senate. And I tell you, like Madam Chair said, politics is a game of numbers. Women will have the numbers, but have we made use of it? Okay. Have we really made use of the numbers that we have? We haven't. And we need to build the agency of women. We need to be able to come back. One of the major lessons for me, which is a bit funny, that I learned during the 10 days of the occupation of the National Assembly, was that I didn't know that the black skin can really burn, that the sun can burn you see. That was what it's a small lesson. I used to think that our mother stayed in the sun, everybody is in the sun, but it never did. But we really got our skin burnt. But the House of Representatives came out boldly and said, give us 7 days, legislative days. The blockade of the National Assembly was Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because those are the days that they sit. They have asked us for those days, and on their honor, we decided to suspend the occupation of the National Assembly. But so many, I can tell you, beautiful, experiences with women coming to give us 4 cartons of water. This one we do, because we ensured that people were dehydrated. Abuja's sun is a scorching sun. We were consuming, sometimes more than 200 cartons of water and more, in so many cases. So I want to commend Abiola, Akiodo, and a lot of women, not all the women who stood tall, and all the men who also were able to stand tall there. And that I can tell you, National Assembly is our own. We may not have had any response from the Senate, because the Senate itself, if you look at it very well, is a sitting of a lot of tired people. How can you ruin a state after 8 years and then you find that place as a safe haven? So we have a lot of, we have very decent people there, a number of decent people, but we have a lot of people in that place. Is like a den of thieves. Those who looted the economy of their states, and they are also there. But we are not tired. We will still engage them. Those who will, we have to make them engage us. They still have the latitude to be able to listen to Nigerian people. That place belongs to us, and we are not ceding it to anyone. I want to just say we need to build the agency of women. Women agency. We have to build it. Agency of women and agency of the young people. Whoever we decide will occupy the seat will be the people that will occupy the seat. I also seek as a convener of civil society institution rule on elections. And I want to say that we are moving towards credible election in Nigeria. And so a vote will count, but we have a lot of voter apathy. It means we have to mobilize now for every woman to use the continuous voter registration exercise to make sure that we have our cards. We need to build like that, and from action points, we are currently supporting more than 120 women-led organizations on voices, leadership, and change, for change. And I hope that working with others, we can, try to see what we can do to improve the building of women agency. We work in 27 states across the country. We need to network. Who is in the state? We have, standing tall at the gate there was the International Federation of Women Lawyers. We have women engineers. Women doctors brought their ambulance and they were manned by women doctors. When you say you cannot find women in appointing positions today, we have millions who have PhDs. We have retired attorney generals, I think, of states, and our beautiful sister who is seated here. We have thousands of women in different professions. We need to recognize the national anthem says, the labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain. And so I call on all women to see that the labors of Funmilayo Ransome Kuti will not be in vain. The labors of Gambo Sawaba and Margaret Ekpo and all the great women, Jade Shola Akonde and all of those of blessed memory will not be in vain. You need to play your part. If you cannot go to contest, those who are contesting, can you give them your vote and you also mobilize? I just had to give this little, and maybe I talked a little bit much because there's so much that one can share. But I need to give the panel. This is the background of some of us. Some people thought that we were, women who didn't have anything to do but go to the national gate. But at this point, if you are above 50 in Nigeria, you are a woman, and you have been to maternity death row, you are standing on behalf of all your sisters who never made it. Since we came in here this morning, so many women have died on the maternity death row. The national hospital that was built by Mrs. Mariam Abacha for women and children is the one that they are using, as if we do not have the resources. And it's from our stand to say we believe in Nigeria. This country is one of the best countries in the world. I believe in it. I've gone to different parts of the world. And this is one country that I will not sell my citizenship for anybody. I need to believe in ourselves. And I want to commend the women who have been on the strike, commend all of you for the work that you have been able to do. But we have come of age, and the time is now to break the barrier. Maybe just to say one thing. I became the Students' Union president of the University of Jos, in 1989-90. And through this experience, I went to jail. I was kidnapped by the Nigerian government, rushed from Jos to Abuja at night, and rushed from Jos with gunpoint to Lagos as if I killed somebody. But all of this, we were in the struggle for democracy. We stood with the men to struggle for democracy. We went all the way to Kampala to challenge the Abacha regime. And we called the extraordinary session of the African and the Commission on Human and People's Rights, and was able to challenge the Abacha regime. Even with that, we came into the country. And so I just want to let you know that women fought for the independence of this country. About women protest was for the independence of Nigeria as well, for the independence of their husbands and how to sustain humanity. If you hit a woman, you hit the humans behind her. If a woman has three or four children and you hit her, you hit the humans. That's why we say women's rights are human rights. We are talking of humanity rights. So I'm going to pass I'm going to ask for the mic to be passed in no particular order. I will start from my sister at the end to at least take a few minutes to give us your remark, and then you pass your intake in terms of breaking the barriers. We want to see how you have broken the barriers, in your own area, and looking at the separation towards a gender balance policy. The time is now. Thank you very much. Sorry, I don't have the names of all of the people, so please follow me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to represent Dr. Funmilayo. My name is Joy. I lived in Paris for 2 decades, and I always want women hands up, whatever, anywhere they are. I've been to so many other parts of the world, America and other places. But I'm here to make you to understand that why is it that women are low in labor room? Women supposed to be a nation builder, because women has power. Women has the intelligence to make things happen. We should be able to make it, because women are really suffering under the religious problem and also ethnic group and intimidation spirits upon women all this while in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole. This is the time for women to really rise up and shine. Rise up and tell them you can make it, you can do it. We have the power, we have the capability. This is the moment for women to really come out to vote with their voter cards.
to really come out and use their intelligence, to really come out and use their technical know-how to do the impossibility, because they have all that it takes that God has endowed them with. Now, the problem we are having in Nigeria has solution. The solution is this, written by Professor Kumilayo. You have to really come out to vote, come out to tell the men that you also can be recognized in any area of this country's solution. Solution number one is women should come out as inspirators for 2023. Women should get the BBC and vote. They should exercise their civil rights and obligation to vote and be voted for. Funds should be made available for them. There should be enlightenment of Israel women and campaign to the grassroots by dedicated women. Women must support themselves as women. The youth should support the women. She and men also should support the women. The 5 agenda-related bills presented by the House of Assembly and Senators should be urgently approved. You see, there are lots of problems out there in the north. Women suffering for their children, kidnapped, killed, and raped. We have to come out and really support our world. Nigeria is the best place to live in the whole world. We have the best to offer. Europe, America have nothing to offer. We are the ones funding them. We supply them all the riches and we import poverty because we are still burying our head under I'm a woman can't talk. No, you can talk. You can make it different. This is the time. We have to really stand and really come out there and let the men recognize us. Because if we are still afraid and bending our head, asking ourselves a question, where can I get money? Let me tell you, money, God is the one that will help you, because He's the one that brings one down and raise up another. So when you trust in God and trust yourself, you can make it. Thank you, women.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity of taking part in this program. Well, I was born the year politics started in my hometown. So I was born practically into political environment, and I've grown up known as cannot be developed without all of us, both male and female, participating in politics. And luckily for us, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, has given us the leeway. There is no discrimination. It's for us women to take the vote by the horn, because it mentions no discrimination, whether by the fact that there is a particular community, religion, etc., and sex is mentioned, and sex means the female gender and the male gender. As I said, that I was born into politics, and I want to say I had a mother who was very confident in herself, married to a politician, well, married to an educationist first before my father became a politician. Well, she gave me 2 quotes which resonates with me all the time. And I don't think I've gone to any program without restating these 2 quotes. She said, I can't is a giant. I can't is a dwarf. So I think we women, majority, particularly those at the grassroots, they are afraid of coming out in their in their numbers, they participate actively taking part. Because majority of the time, we speak English. We don't take them into consideration. We have to learn, to communicate in their own language. Because even if I speak Yoruba in my hometown, it may not, the illiterate ones may not understand what I'm talking about. But if I speak in my dialect, in my Owo dialect, I think it will reverberate more than me speaking the Yoruba language. I think communication will help in getting our women to participate in politics and come out and be supportive of whoever comes out as a female candidate to take part in any elective position. And the other one, my mother mentioned to me, no aim is a crime. No aim. You have to have confidence in yourself. You do not have to think, I cannot do it. So, many times, we mothers, we talk down on our girls that, no, you are a woman, you cannot do this. This is how a woman should behave. When you get to your husband's house, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. These things affect the female gender, on how to come out and take part in politics and whatever, the male are doing in the political arena. Madam Chairman said something while she was giving her opening speech, that women are noted for, coming out to dance and so on and so forth. I'm happy that she doesn't like that. She doesn't recommend that for us women, because I, in particular, there is nowhere I get to and women, I see women dancing and shaking their body and so on. I feel nauseated because we are not made that way. If the women are dancing, I ask the women are dancing, you men to come out and dance. It shouldn't be the purview of only the women to come and dance for the men. The men too should come out and dance for us. So I have been lucky in a way, in the sense, lucky and unlucky. Lucky in the sense that I became the chairman of the Deformed Action Congress of Nigeria in my state, a major political party in the country. And at the time I took over as a chairman of the party was nowhere in my state. Even before I became the chairman, the men too were hardly that they wanted to be the chairman of the party. I was just watching. Even one that was very, very opposed to me started printing posters and so on. And it was my first time of seeing posters being printed by someone who just wants to be a chairman of a political party. I didn't feel it was right. I didn't compete from that point of view. I was just going about appealing to people that I feel I needed their support to support me to be the chairman of ACN at that time. And to God be the glory, he came, and at the end of the day, he kind of like a consensus that it should be left for me. And when I took over as the party chairman in my state, and everybody in my state saw the difference. You could see that a woman has taken over the leadership of a political party, because both night and day I was always on the road. I could be in the Ilaje, how many miles or how many hours drive from my hometown to Ilaje. I could leave Ilaje at 12 midnight and still travel to my hometown, from the south of Ondo State to the north of Ondo State. And I was still traveling because I was walking like a jackass,
somebody said women will have to work 10 times more than the men, and that's exactly what I did as a chairman of a major political party. And I want to say that period of my chairmanship is being referred to up till today in my state, because I gave the party on the other side, the ruling party, then, a tough time. Because we had lectures, we had so many things to bring back Action Congress of Nigeria to the mind of the people of the state. And people started, joining the party. It came to a point that some of the young men were saying, we have to take every woman from those who didn't know at that time, that this woman must be a witch. That is why she was not a witch. But I said, well, I am not a witch, but I know how to drive my point. So this led me, the chairmanship of Action Congress of Nigeria led me to want to be the governor of my state. If I could mobilize, if I could go from word to word, from local government to local government, from house to house, then what stops me from becoming the governor of the state? So I resigned my chairmanship and, put up myself for the governorship of my state. But lo and behold, the power that we serve, people, some women too, on those states it's not right for a woman governor. On those states,
Okay, but I want to answer your question. Just one question for you to give us a solution as well. There was an experience in 1998. I remember the case of Chief Mrs. Oshomo. She won the primaries for 8. I remember very well. Was that Osho? No. Oh, no, as well. Okay, so that's a good way to look at this. She won the primaries for 80. And at that time, being in the Southwest, once you have won the primary, it means you are the governor. And so she won it. And then there was a decision that was going to be taken by the AD stalwarts in Lagos. And I remember we were told, because we had just run some activities on democracy and governance in different places in Nigeria, Amukopo, and all of those things. So we moved women from all of this. I never met Mrs. Oshomo before that day. But with Koyo Toyo and Timi Agari, we moved with Molue. So they changed the venues 3 times when they were going to take the decision. And the decision was to tell her that though you won the primaries, but you are not going to be, because you did not listen to us when we called you back during Abacha's time. We were there, and the Yorubas, women were singing Omolomonje and Inyoma Loruko Meji Omolomonje. That's a child. It's a child. A child doesn't have 2 names. And so they did that. We were gathered there singing. They asked her to come and talk to us. When the woman came, she broke into crying because she didn't know us from anywhere. 3 places they changed. We went with Molwe. They said they were not going to open the gate for us. We said we can break it with Molwe. But I'm telling you that watching all the AD stalwarts, they rejected this woman and gave the ticket to somebody else who did not qualify. What is the way forward? This is a case of where a woman had clearly won something, and this seems to be your case as well. What way forward from that time to now?
Well, I had a similar experience where the leadership decided to just announce somebody in the hall in John, where the decision was taken. And I made my point on that day that it wasn't fair. I even gave them an option that if you didn't want me, you could take this particular name, you could take this name, because this name has been with us from day one. We all struggled together. But just out of the blues, they brought a neophyte, somebody who doesn't know anything about us in those days. Somebody who doesn't know the struggle. Somebody who well, and it is showing now, I'm not here to say anything against anybody. everybody, but it is, we are experiencing what we should not be experiencing. So you can be reading things in the paper that will up in the personality of some people, but go to the state and make your investigation.
Thank you.
No, let me answer. In respect of the problem of Mrs. Oshomo and how this and the emergence of somebody who throw it at even some women who came with me, they had to help them outside the gate of them. I said, John and that day, and they called me that I should go and tell them to move away. I sat, I did not move. It was their security who went and drove them away. So, because I didn't bring any talk, so I don't want to say I associated myself with any violence. Yeah. What can be done is for us women, to come together as one. If we women do not come together, because we are even in the majority, when we are voting at the different polling units, it is the women you see, they outnumber the men. The women voters outnumber the men. So if we have women that we can include and gather together like you are doing, I think the story will change. Maybe by the next by 2023, we should be able to produce a woman, a female governor in this country. And I'm sure it will make a lot of difference because women are not going there, to start building houses they didn't build before going there, the land they didn't buy before going there, the money they didn't acquire before getting there. Because that is what is happening now in many of the states of the federation. What we were not doing before, because you are now in the leadership position, you are now a governor, you are not somebody who has continue acquiring, obscene acquisition of wealth, So I want us, to try and bring the women together so that we can fight these men. I'm sorry, men, you are here, but we need to fight you.
Thank you very much.
Because it is fighting.
It's not about fighting us,
Because at the end of the day, if you don't fight, you cannot get anything. That's true. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you're sharing. Yes, ma'am. As brief as you can be, more solution oriented.
It's not about fighting.
Okay, so thank you again to Vanguard for this opportunity. My name is Khadija, and I offered myself in service to run for the office of the President of the Federal Republic. Now, this declaration did not come out of self-service or self-serving mentality. It is actually the realization, like Honorable mentioned earlier, I was born into a political family. And my family has, because I had to fill such a huge gap, my father is 89 years old. So I have had to go generations above and beyond for me to be able to converse and communicate with the older generation. So that allows me to be a bridge between my generation and the older generation. And over the years, I realized that there's a lot of, the gap in the system requires organization. Protesting is one way to organize. However, ambition is key. So if we do not get up, and we talked about the settings earlier, most of the people there's no competition, there's no one to come to them, there's no one to run, there's no one running for their feet. So, they're relaxed, they can go be governors, come back, people they exchange whole seats for each other because people are not getting up to run. So at some point, I would say it was divine, and only divine, where I decided, you know what, we need to sacrifice for this country. You spoke about our heroes past. It's time for us I need to identify new roles. We thank the heroes that have come, that have paved the way. Now I need to identify new heroes that I know are paving ways for generations to come. And that is what we need to do as we go along. So when I speak about this, there was also the way we can do this is for women to stop being the foot soldiers of patriarchy. So we complain about patriarchy. But a woman cries to you, comes to you and says, oh, I was touched inappropriately or da da da. Are you the only one? It happened, just be quiet. We need to encourage each other, we need to talk about things. It's therapeutic to actually speak about the issues that we're all facing, because we all face. Every woman from the age of 14, every girl from the age of 14, there's some general things that we all identify with, and these are things that we need to start speaking about. So the ways I'm going about this is I am leveraging on the female relationships I have. Every single step, every single progress I've made in life. Generally, many people tend to switch to the men, but I have generally been, the women have been the ones to help me all through my life. So these are, and I tend to mingle well with women, and I think it is a skill, it is a blessing, and I don't want to lose it for anything. So these are the ways that we can encourage women to come together and we can move and make progress in Nigeria. There are so many young girls that are afraid to go meet women because they're like, oh, women don't get along. It's perpetrated by the media. When women get together, they actually help each other. But the media keeps trying to separate us, keep us apart by giving you the idea that, oh, a woman is not going to help you. Women always do help. So that's
my question maybe one way to you is at the National Assembly gate, I know one of the men who came to the barricade, and the address was to say women have not got it right yet. When women get it right, you will choose who is the governor. And so the building of the agency. So knowing about these barriers, what have you been able to do? Knowing that this is what happens, and our sister here has also, joined more.
The only way to do it is to get political, and it's organized politically. Grassroots level politics is what it is. So the national, yes, is good. The reason why I'm going for the top job is that we need political will. The reason why many of these things are not getting done is because we can gather the political will. Look at the House of Representatives. It's supposed to represent Nigeria. It doesn't represent who we are. So if we get the political will, then we can get things done. The affirmative action, we can push it. And for those kind of gender bills, in a forward-thinking country, the vice president is supposed to come out, not to lobby the reps or the Senate, but to talk to the citizens and say, look, this bill is going to help us move eons ahead. It's something that, so the people, these constituencies can hold their representatives and say, look, this bill is going to be good. But we got quiet. Everywhere was silent. Because that is what's called political will. If we do not get that, it's going to be very difficult to move ahead in any other thing we do. So, organizing politically, yes, we'll get that, but we still have to start from grassroots level. So having political will is one thing, but development starts from bottom up. So that's every ward. Some wards have 10 people, 20 people deciding the candidates that come up. We need to go into wards. I don't care which party, to be honest. I came out as an independent candidate to create a neutral playing field, because parties divide, gender divides, religion divides. So we need to go to our wards. If 20 people go to a ward, you can take over that machinery. And this is how it builds across the country from each ward to each ward. 9,000 something. You can build each ward. Just take control of it. The women are the ones, security, they're the ones going to solve it. A woman can decide, can stop radicalization of her children. When the north, a child that is 15 years old, you can't tell him what to do because he has more authority than you. So we need to give our women back this power so that you can start saying, you're going where? Where are you going? Sit down. This is the job of nurturing as a woman. So these are the things we need to go back to ward level and start hijacking the system back.
Thank you very much. Nigeria is in conflict as a whole. Nigeria is in conflict. There are lots and lots of conflicts in Nigeria. As long as we do not care for the very many who are poor, there is no way we are going to care for the very few. And that's why, today you now have, some people thought they have a good path by going by train to Kaduna. Now you cannot go by the train, you cannot go by the road. What that is saying is that it is a looming crisis when you have about 62% of your population as young people and you do not have jobs, and they are not your worry. Rather, the kind of corruption we are having and borrowing and so on for leadership. Nigeria is going down, and women will have to sit up. We have to reclaim Nigeria. I think that is why what this is all about. You need to get up, or your city will go down. Wherever you are sitting at your comfort zone. We have so many panels, and there is a lot of discussions that have gone on already. So if I have your permission, I'm tempted to give you back the mic. But if I'm permitted, I want to bring this session to a close so that another session can come. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, please. Hello. Yes.
Have any questions for anybody on the panel? Can you just please raise up your hands? Or if you want to do, if you have a contribution to what has been discussed so far, you have 30 seconds to ask a question or make a contribution. Sorry, I need an extra microphone.
I want to ask you something. Is the charger here? I want to charge it.
Please point the camera to me. The camera to me.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
My name is Obishagu Babala. I just want to say it's a prayer, something I wish like to happen. But first, before I say anything, I just want to comment what one of my auntie here said. This is Amigo. I was close to her mom. Her mom was, I think her mom brought Red Cross to Nigeria, and she had some positive impact on many of us. So all she said about her mom, those two things, she said, we should hold her for the first second. Now, what mom says that Nigeria has two political parties now. So our prayer when APC came on board is that one will be on the left, and the other will be on the right, that will have ideological parties in Nigeria. And now, we are like our mommy will be said, like at the moment in Nigeria now, we are in some dire straits, what people in our generation will call deep shit. And I think one way around our problem today is that we make sure that the two parties are aligned ideologically, with differences, one to the left, one to the right, to solve all our problems. Usually, when you want to solve our problems, if the people on the left want to solve, what they'll come up with will be different from what the people in the right will come up with. And I don't think our women can defeat our men in this game until they become ideological. I would love to go deeper, Okay, let me just go a bit deeper. Now,
You don't have the time to go.
okay, sir. Okay, I should just stop. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think let me just summarize.
So the point you're making, sir, is for women to become more ideological, for them to become more competitive.
Now it's easier for them because they are mothers. Mothers. It's easier for them. And most women I've come across, my mother, even Auntie and Goshi, already came, they are all strongly ideological. But when they enter into these political states controlled by Euro-American epistemology, which is strictly masculine, when they enter into it, they dissolve. The ideology dissolves. So they now adapt to what's on ground, and that's the end of it. Okay. So the way out for women to really stand up in this country is to become ideological.
All right, I take that point. Can you please pass the microphone to
I hope I make some point.
Yeah, women have to be ideological, men don't.
Well, can I
was going to explain it.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to follow the protocols as it has already been established, but just to make 2 points. The first is to say that women exclusion, in my view, and other forms of political exclusion, because not only women are excluded, youths, etc., represents a symptom of a deeper malady. And that malady has to do with the nature of our state and the kind of politics that we play. We've been told how without any election, a candidate can just be announced. It doesn't really matter whether that candidate is a woman or a man or whatever. So I think that as we think along this direction, we should take it along the need to change the nature of our politics. Because if the nature of politics remains the same, it's going to be extremely difficult, to do most of the things that we are canvassing here. The second point is about the need to change the narrative. Such narratives as we are going to fight the men. Fighting will not get you anywhere. I think that what we need is a reorientation. There are men who support women. I, for example, believe in gender inclusion, believe, in equality for all. as canvassed, by the chairperson of this occasion. But if we go with that narrative of fighting and seizing and chasing them away, you end up chasing sympathizers and those who actually will support the cause that we are championing. So we need to do a lot about the kind of conversation that we have and the need to expand the scope of the conversation. I think next year's women celebration by Vanguard, I want to see market women, younger people, children, artisan, people in the civil society, even if it's their representative, so that we can broaden the scope of conversation. I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the words. Now, we have 5 more. Go ask a question.
Yes, I want to ask a question.
Who wants to ask?
Yes, good afternoon. Please, I would like to ask Mrs. Ennet this question. Now, part of the things that women are discussing is requesting for is 35% inclusion for the political executive offices of political power from the parties. And APC recently released their own list. And what we saw was that they got less than 12% seats. I think just 9 is actually given to women. 9 women, 10 offices. And of course, 2 they've not chosen it yet, so we don't know, maybe 11 or that. And that's way less than 35%. So I was discussing with some people, and what they were saying was that, by the time you ask this, you see these people marching and making this request for the 35%. Once they get 1 or 2 appointments, they just forget it. They don't want to, they won't fight for it again, and it's just a forgotten cause. Now that APC have released their convention list, and what you demanded for was not actually put in place, it was like they ignored it. I would like to ask, what's the way forward? What are you planning to do now?
I think the rest are comments, that's the only question. That is why we are saying that in the Constitution, they ought to have added that 35% of positions, and then the organizations or the political parties will be bounded by it. Nigeria has 18 political parties right now. And in terms of the ideology that they're talking about, do they really have ideology? You see somebody winning on the ticket of a particular political party, and then is now sitting comfortably as a governor and says, I hereby defend to APC, and is sitting on that seat. Do they really have ideology? What is their basis? It's like the common language is coming into position, and a lot of it are driven by selfishness. I would say that. Because many people who are in APC, when they deny them their second ticket, they jump into the other party, and when they win from that place, they jump to the other one. Initially, I didn't give back the mic to my colleagues on the panel, because I thought there are 3 panels, and 2 other panels are coming, and I think they will envelop us further into the discussion. But the issue of women inclusion, women defeating, they cannot defeat men. If we build the women agency, the agency of women and the youth, 2023 may be a very tough one, but I can tell you when 2027 comes, we will have many governors who are women. That I can tell you. If we do the work that every woman now, we need to go back and work with market women, with the women at the grassroots level, we need to go and work. And so the story will change. We have to change that narrative. You see what is happening? In the kind of crisis we are having now, they are killing Nigerians every day. We are killing ourselves every day. And when I hear that 20 people have died, I remember the woman's umbilical cord. The umbilical cord of a woman, so we cannot sit still and not doing anything because they're not saving. We need to change the status quo. And for our children, we need to, like Irene will say, tie your wrappers and tie your waist. We need to progress. We need to move forward. And so I want to say that, a lot of people on the panel there, if we ask our sister to stand up here, she's enough money to tell us all the history of this place. So thank you for bringing very quality people. I hope that during tea break and also during lunch. We can engage. Let's learn more and take some firm decisions from here. Thank you very much.
For the next about 5 minutes, tea will be ready. We're expected to get the tea outside and bring them back inside so we can have a tea break while you're in section. Tea. I think that's very similar part of it. So I think I have 5.
The fastest way to get women into National Assembly position. Now we have to adopt what they do in other countries. That was how Rwanda, Egypt, and others. The deficit is post system where you contest on individual basis. But for us to now agitate for inclusion in the constitution, what they call proportional representation, the party will contest. All the parties will contest in the name of the party. Then after winning, they will now go back to share the positions, taking into consideration demographics like women, youth, then men. That was how Rwanda and others
I'm glad when you said it. So let me ask you one very direct question. Let's go with
seats will be allocated.
Why is it difficult to get around Senate governments get 50% of the people in the Senate to agree to certain
Everybody's a winner. Nobody's a
Why is that difficult to happen? How do you
even score 70%? You have 7.
How do we set it up? What really is the challenge to
if you have 10%, you have 1. So, by so doing, everybody has a voice. Therefore, the nature of politics, that's why we have to get back to the nature of politics. The result will matter. Election divides.
You also have to look at the delineation of the Senate. You know some are more different categories, why others are not. So you have more of them in the Senate. It makes it difficult for some of them there to feel that the woman should actually be on them. To even come there, it is still a struggle that we have to continue. You see, you saw how the House of Representatives Bill 36, Bill 36 has got to do with citizenship. Then 37, affirmative action, and 8, qualification for a married woman to be a citizen, or rather, a citizen of that state after 5 years. How we lost when we were in the House of Representatives. Then in the Senate, you same out. So it depends on the mentality of the Senate. I think it is also that. But it is still a struggle that we have to continue. But first of all, if we want to get it done, it is this system of proportional representation. That's all. Thank you.
And try. That's why we need to walk the talk through our actions. And as a national women leader, our Progressive Congress APC, we're ensuring that women are empowered not only economically, but politically. There are free online programs that are in place to empower women, and also the APC Progressive Women Academy, which was set up last year as well, to assist women to acquire the right skills and knowledge required to transform their lives and also prepare for future leadership positions. This platform is to hold and encourage women to deliberately and consciously work towards self-development to position themselves to climb the ladder of political leadership. Also, I would like to congratulate the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria, APWEN, and the Lagos State chapter in particular for the inauguration of the 9th chairman and their executive members. Having the ceremony along with the commemoration of this year's International Women's Day has been rightly marked, and the association has lots to do with the celebration of excellence participation of women within the engineering space. This is the celebration of yet another International Women's Day. We have indeed come a long way, and every step taken, effort made is indeed worthy of recognition and celebration. Back in 2017 and 2018, International Women's Day was the most discussed topic on Facebook by millions. Now the word inclusivity, that is, a world of bias, a world free of bias, stereotype, discrimination, a world where everyone is carried along, regardless of her ability, disability, or healthcare needs, a world where different diverse is valued and celebrated. Here we have an significant global rights in International Women's Day activity in every corner of the world, along with the many female-focused days and initiatives around the world, mean gender is spending on the agenda. We have indeed come a long way, and congratulations to the women fold. Women have a right, and as I say goes that the reward of the hard work is more work. Let's coordinate our individual microphones and make it louder in words and actions as we collectively break the barriers and create a sustainable tomorrow with our individual values to the entire globe. Our readiness for opportunities should be our main focus. Could we just imagine how the golden chances will have passed by when the opportunities came to the nurturing of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and the first women deputy president of Nigeria Center of Engineers, our own fellow of engineering was Engineer Margaret Aino Ogunsala, fellow of Nigeria Center of Engineers. We have hacked no weapons, and the weapons are your intellect, skills, wills, charisma, and above all, integrity, to be in the competitions and remain in the last one standing. These women have proven themselves beyond every doubt as examples of women excellence and achievement. The portion that there is no single solution to tackling gender inequality, discrimination, and stereotype. It requires a holistic approach from equal opportunities to equal participation and ultimately to how we challenge the prejudices. And amid her efforts, it is crucial that we continue to initiate discussions that will drive broader systemic change and benefit all women, either young or old, everywhere. I know with this step, we would encourage more professional women to come into politics. They also have a role to play. Today, as we celebrate International Women's Day, it is an occasion to educate the public, mobilize political will, and resources to address the prejudices, and as well to celebrate achievements of women and girls in our country and in the world. I celebrate every woman who strives hard to make a positive impact in whatever situation or position she finds herself. She stays focused no matter her status, level of education, belief, and all terms that can be used to identify her and change the status quo. I hereby stand today to say that the time to is now. Now is the time to recognize women's contribution, smash stereotypes, and trust discrimination against women in the world. Every woman wants to live in a world that is free of bias, stereotypes, discrimination, and have a world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. Together we can forge women equality and break barriers. Lastly, in order for us to break more barriers, I want us to ask ourselves these questions. Are we really working to talk in achieving the 35% administration we demand from men? Is there any action we are taking? I strongly believe that we need to position ourselves ready so that we are not caught off guard whenever the opportunity to represent comes and we are called upon. Hence, there is no other preparation that we can make harder to acquire applicable skills. Therefore, as much as we continue to strategize and use our numerical strength to take up responsibility of negotiating the implementation of 30% affirmative action at all levels of government, as contained in the National Gender Parity Policy, it is imperative that we empower ourselves with different skills according to individual strengths. Let's make ourselves visible. Let's always have this can-do spirit in ourselves. And the time is now to act is now, because a nation that is not engendered is an endangered nation. Therefore, as the International Women's Day celebration is still with us, Nigerian women should think gender-balanced boardrooms, gender-balanced government, gender-balanced media coverage, gender-balance of employees, gender-balanced in wealth, and gender-balanced sports coverage, among others. Achieving all this requires developing progressive legal framework that promotes equality between women and men. Hence, Nigerian women should latch on the movement, take action and transform women's lives, because by 2030, nations will not be judged by their military or economic strength, nor the splendor of the capital cities and public buildings, but by the well-being of their people, their health, nutrition, and education, their ability to participate in decision-making that affects their lives, the provision that made for those who are vulnerable, disadvantaged, and protection that is afforded to the growing minds and bodies of children, especially women and girls. So let's build a gender-balanced nation that is free of stereotypes, discrimination, and violence. Once again, on behalf of Honorable Sarah Okoteto, I say thank you for having me. God bless you all. Let's continue to break barriers. Together we can. I can achieve for all. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. APC, we gave you 3 minutes. We took 30 minutes. All right, so we go quickly to the panel conversations very quickly. I have the honors to introduce the chairman of the next panel discussions, Professor Dele Ashiru, the Professor of Political Science at the University of Lagos. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you very much, Prof. Also joining him on the panel would be Chief Mrs. Kofoworola Bokno Akirele, former Deputy Governor of Lagos State. Please put your hands together for
I'm always here now. They enter my shop.
Joining this panel also is Mrs. Ifenywa Obi, a former governorship aspirant in Imo State. Please put your hands together for her. We also have Honorable Kemi Adewu. Please put your hands together for her. And finally, we have Chief Mrs. Lucy Ajayi. Please put your hands together. So I'll hand over the panels to you, sir. You have 35 minutes, sir.
Okay. Since we have 35 minutes, let's go straight to business. The first is to thank the Vanguard team for providing this platform and giving me this opportunity. The second is to recognize and thank most sincerely NLP, who's been one of my greatest benefactors. She's looking at me already. You know, she gave me the first job when I walked out of the banking hall many years back as a young graduate. And also when I was admitted to the University of Birmingham, she paid my way to that university to operate. And I'm sure she won't like what I'm doing, but I have to do it to underscore the importance of today's occasion and how those contributions have added up, to produce, the man that is sitting here amongst this eminent, distinguished Nigerians. So I want to thank you publicly for that sacrifice and for the support we have received from you over the years. So many of us are children. So thank you very much. As we are all aware, we have only 35 minutes to round off this session. And the task of this panel is to identify lacunas and try to fill them. My understanding of that is trying to identify impediments or obstacles to the affirmative action and the kind of demands that we're making on the system and how best we think we can overcome those obstacles. If that objective is right, I will pose the first question and I will give all the panelists the opportunity to share their thoughts on that question. And I would like to give about 3 minutes, and I will be very strict with the time. 3 minutes, and then after that, I will then pose another question and decide whether we can answer them in no particular order, or also in the order that we started with. So with your kind permission, that's the methodology we intend to adopt. So, the first question I'd like to pose is that we have listened to so many experiences about how women are excluded from the political process, decision-making processes, in spite of their contribution, to those processes. So, from your varied experience, what do you think are the obstacles for women inclusivity in decision-making processes in Nigeria? Shall I start with you? Thank you very much, Your Excellency. You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much indeed. First of all, I think it is vested in the traditions of many of us in Nigeria. It is not always that women are not recognized. For instance, in Yoruba land, women are recognized. When I first went into politics, in fact, it was my father who pushed me out into politics. But then he was a politician himself, because the Ekeomududuwa was formed in his house in London. He was the first president, and Chief Awolowo was his second. So I came from a political family. But it is the tradition in many parts of Nigeria that is weighing against women being in politics. You hear some men saying, I have one like you, but you don't have one like me. I have one like you in my house. Yes, you might have a wife or a daughter, but that one is not like me. Also, I think it's lack of education. When I say lack of education, I don't mean lack of formal education. There's also lack of the education of the masses, the people, the women at the grassroots. They have not been trained to know their rights. They have not been trained to know their power. And I think a situation, or should I say, a panel like this and an occasion like this should concentrate on how we can bring up the women of the grassroots to recognize the power which they have, so that they can utilize that power to get more women into, in fact, important positions. I think I've used up my 3 minutes, or I still have 2 seconds. So I think that is it. There's another problem which we have, and this is with the political parties themselves. You know, they have a woman leader. Why don't they have a man leader? This is a way of putting women down. And I think we should object to having women leaders. All members of political parties are equal. And leaders are leaders whether they're men or women. So that is another way of putting women down. Then I would like to go into the realm of the make-up of the Nigerian state, or should I say, the make-up of our constitution. Many of us are asking for resource control, and we're also asking that we should have an evaluation, and that we should in fact have a change in the way this country runs. Because if you look at it, for instance, the delineation of constituencies favors a certain part of the country. And I'm sorry to say so, that part of the country does not favor women. So these are the obstacles that we are facing in this country. And these are the things I think that need to be corrected. We need restructuring of the country. We need restructuring of our constitution if we are to get more women to participate in our lives.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for tackling you, but we are very short of time. I'll come back to you. Can you pass the mic to us so that we share her views too? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mrs. Adekun, and I just want to say first, because we are going to be as well as the January 2022 this year. So, talking from my experience, I joined politics 1998, October, and I've been through all the victimization of women. I joined politics not because of my political background. My situation in my second degree years was in politics. That was when I studied and read about the impunity, injustice, and the victimization of women, and also in politics. So getting back to Nigeria, I've been exposed to that. I would like to join women politics, the voice of the voiceless, and hope we will be. But when I joined that politics in as a woman, I wasn't very accepted. When I stood in the ground, I was younger than my 59 years old, so you can believe that I was not younger than I am now. But seeing me become so special and everything really down with me, they set me aside so many times I fought for everything I got in politics, and I still fight. But we put in every committee you can think of there, and every politics, and PDP, and everything. So, and I said in 2003, I would contest for that House of Representatives. And then I tried, and I was advised to go back to my father's hometown because I registered in Lagos. I registered in Lagos, I had local government 1998. And I went back to PT, got my phone, and he said it's time for me to go in. And I said, no, it's always time for them to go. It's always time for us to go. I can't shut it down. So, but my uncle now called me and said, please go to Senate, Senator Kia. I said, well, if it's not to resign, okay, I'll step down. Now I'm free. When I'm 7, I'll go to the phone again, I step down. So, the whole time I said, okay, I'm stepping down. From House of Representatives, I wanted for vote issue, and they said it was only for 2 years, yes. and have an engineer, women, their mothers to men. We give them opportunity to go. How can we give us opportunity to get better than them? But we called the offered me when we offered the things I rejected. So my ground, so I believe we are not to learn to believe in what we do and where we're going. And I was quite by so many leaders. I still look like I was bullied, I was victimized, I was living out of impunity, still my ground. And after that, don't put this but I'm free. So now I got to home, now as a you can't go. Why? Because we need all the men to fill the positions. So I believe again we have to get and keep going. Don't give up. It's time for us to get there, to walk to the light, and to keep going. And keep from everything. And keep up. And I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are still on that question. What are the impediments? What are those obstacles that stands before a woman who wants to go into politics and get to decision-making, positions? Thank you. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to be here. My name is Ifeyiwa Morino Campo, and I was a former gubernatorial aspirant in Imo State. To the question, what is the impediment or what's the challenge for women and for all of us really? At the core of who we are is our belief system, our values, and this is what determines the choices we make. Because I have asked, even if all the men in the House of Assembly had the right value system, would they not have passed those 5 bills? I think the answer is yes. The challenge we have to change that belief system, to create a new set of values for our citizens is our education. So we must pay attention to how we are being socialized and how we are being educated. What is the budget for education? And how is the budget being implemented? I think one of the key ways we can change the national trajectory is to fund education, to create a better environment around education, so that education attracts the best minds and then they can develop the next generation. If we do this, then we can begin to address biases, preconceived ideas, poor value systems, and the challenge that we face as a nation. When you talk to a Nigerian, the first question they ask you when you say your name is, you come from this state. Did you marry from this state? Because they want to put you in a box. That we must move away from such mindset. So we are primarily Nigerian and not sectored by our tribe or tradition. So the bottom line again is leadership, because we need the leadership that will unite us and cross all our divides and all our fault lines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for singing about 1 minute. We thank you for that.
Good afternoon, my brothers, sisters, uncles, and brothers. My name is Lucy Ajayi, simply Lucy Ajayi, and I'm a grassroots mobilizer. So my perspective will be different from the elected ones. And I want us to be factual. I am on the field. I was on the field yesterday, for a campaign, and about 80% of those on the field were women. And out of those out of the few VIPs that came, specifically to Chopin local government in Lagos State, I was one of the women. That was about 2 or 3 of the high team or something. But I'm telling you, the focus on the men, because we're going to receive envelopes and costs from the men. And we know Lucy Ajayi, she has done this when she was what, she was this, that. But I'm telling you, when Lucy Ajayi comes from an elected position, the narrative will change, and it's from the women, not from the men. It's from the women. We have an issue with that. I've been a grassroots politician for about almost past 10 years, and I'm trying to tell them, let's bring up a woman, and let's all support. Look at 80% of us are here. If you're not waiting for one post, or you want to find out, oh, she's from where? Oh, she's from Edo State, she's from... Meanwhile, you are born and bred in Lagos State. It's the women. When I was a member of the CPC Media Committee before it became APC Media Committee. And then I was the only woman that GMP then, PM puts in CPC Media Committee. I'm telling you, most of the petitions, when they got at CPC headquarters, were from women. A particular woman who was an ex-official of National in CPC wrote and said, who is this Ajayi? A local government party, how can she? She can't even want to make a sentence. She wrote to the president, a woman. I felt I was scared because I was barely 3 or 4 years, 4 years in politics. In 2013, I entered politics in 2009 with the CPC. And PMD, then GMD, replied to the woman alone, based on what she wrote. That I didn't pick Lucy Ajayi based on where she's from, or she cannot speak English like you said. I picked people on merits. Which I think, I'm not trying to praise a Buhari party, but I'm saying they don't go with other parties that you have to line up. It's on merit. I was a party local government chairman, but I got that position, to be in APC Media Committee at that level. People were thinking, you must go from local government to state, to zonal, to national. It takes a PMD. Sorry, I'm trying to talk about my mentor now, to do that. And that's why I was in CPC. The second one in me is that how do we get all of us to vote for one woman? Because for you to get into elected position, you have to be in a political party. I am in APC now, and if a woman from PDP, then I think, oh, she's okay, she's qualified, she's good enough, she will protect the women and everything is coming out. But I'm telling you, because of party supremacy, I will not vote for a PDP woman. So I'm going to address that. Except if we're going to form all women party. But if you're in PDP, AFP, you're in APC, you don't imagine me voting for a PDP woman when I'm in APC. So I think we have to address that too. So I think the only solution to this are women. I admire elective, improvement for elective position. I cannot. I studied from the one when I experienced that I will only go for an appointed position because I don't have all the laws, either financial or what to be in there, and that's the reality on the ground. So I admire those who have gone and are going for elected positions. I will always encourage because I'm a mobilizer, but I'm telling you, I will never go for one with my experience on the field. And that's why I enthrone, if you're a man or a woman, then I would, mobilize people for you to get that. When you get there, please remember to give them appointments so that I can continue the job. So the only way out now is for us to have a 35% affirmative. Oh, this is for a woman. Because in our culture, one must be a woman of the local government. That's why you're having that as delegates at national level. One must be a woman. If you don't put that one must be a woman, we'll be here in this Vanguard Women's Talk, year in, year out, discussing this. So
all right.
Please, let's push it for our 35% committee.
Thank you very much.
They're stopping me now.
Yes, I have to stop you. I have the mandate to stop you. I apologize for stopping you. I would have loved to give you more time, but that would be infringing on our agreement, and I will also not be discharging my mandate as it has been handed down to me. And this will trigger the second question, actually. And please, as I'm talking now, I am a woman. So don't pick any offense from any of the questions that I'm going to ask, because it's a woman that is asking it. When I got the invitation for this program, I conducted a small survey you know, in line with, you know, our culture as academic. And I try to sift, you know, some ideas from that survey. And I'm going to pick the next question from the preponderance of response that I got from that survey. And I'm sorry, because I know that it's a topic that will be very, very tough. Now there's this idea, and remember it's a woman that is talking, that women are tough, they cannot be trusted with power, and that the few examples of entrusting power to women have ended in disaster. It's the woman that is talking, I'm not the one.
You understand?
So, in order to shed light or debunk some of this kind of, and I'm sure you must have had all of these kind of comments before.
Yes.
Now that I have you distinguished Nigerians, eminent in your own right, former Deputy Governor, Your Excellency, aspiring governor, right, left, how would you respond to what is this misconception about the rigidity of women, the fact that they cannot be trusted with power, the fact that wherever they lead, there is this, a woman is here, so what are you talking? In no particular order. Your Excellency, man, thank you very much. 3 minutes, I'll begin to hit the microphone.
I don't think that is true at all. I think we have to look at some of the countries in the world that have trusted their destinies to women. We can look at women like Indira Gandhi of India. We can look at Margaret Thatcher and so many other women. And you will find that, in fact, when they were in power, that was when their countries prospered more than when men were in charge. So, I don't know what woman was telling you that, but I find it difficult to believe that a woman will be running down another member of her gender in that way. Women, yes, maybe it is because women are steadfast. They're more honest. They stand by what they believe in, unlike the men who can jump from one thing to the other at any given time. So I think maybe that is really what the problem is. But certainly, if you look at the countries where women have been in power, even if you look in Nigeria and some of the companies, the banks, where women have been in charge, you will find that these organizations prospered more when women were there than when the men were there. The men were only there for themselves, most likely also for their ego. Whereas the women usually take a broader outlook and familial outlook, because women think more of the family and the welfare of everybody rather than the men who only think of their own welfare. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me reverse the chair. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you.
Well, I like talking from my experience too. I don't go with that analogy. I want to add to what my mommy has just said. I've just 3 years past ED of Lagos International Trade Fair Management Board. If you know about trade fair, for 9 years, it's been taken over by a concession there. And during those years, they had 4 EDs, other acting, substantive EDs, and there were men who could not take back trade fair from the faulty concessionaire for so many reasons. I go about with security men now, because I was advised to go on the audience because that place is a place that I don't know, but the man was an emperor. And the first thing the traders in the market saw when I was announced, how can the PFP punish us with this woman? What will she do? Other men, I'm talking about men, who not do anything. They can't even come to trade fair. Is it by duty that this woman is going to, they lost hope, in whatever appearance or whatever they think about me? And in 8 months, I was in Abuja for 8 months, not in 8 months, I took over trade fair. Back from the constitutional anti-government. And then trade fair was making less than 4 million for 9 years. But for my 3.5, well, I said because for 8 months I was not managing that place, we made about 1.5 billion naira. And when I got there, they said I was going to have problems, and that was why they said I should have problems. But when I got there, because we have the words, and said we were not using it. You can imagine if this hall was all about men. I'm not sure it would be this cool and charming. I'm telling you the fact. So we should know when to use these potentials that we have. When I got there, when we were first, she must be very powerful to have thrown this man out, but she must be very. But when I called the stakeholders meetings, I started calling them my fathers and my mother. Please, when you want to take a decision, look at me as your wife, and I am here. I'm going to help them. And because I'm married to the traders in trade fair. I got there and I got that. It was one of media person in trade fair, and she wants people to come and talk about my experience everywhere I go to. How did you manage trade fair? So I'm saying, what a man could not do, a woman did it, and they're happy for it. So I don't think I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me support my leader and my sister. Women, I think, are much better than men all over the world. Even during COVID time, the MPs and the president of the countries, they manage their COVID better than the countries in many days. So even Dr. Osika, she's there, she's doing very well. There are so many women out there working better than men. Now, believe men are scared of women. That's it. They're scared. Give a woman opportunity to do a lot better than men. Because men don't like failure, they're scared of failure. So they always want to do 100%, 200% better than men. And I believe that men should stop putting us down. The woman, the woman like myself. So please tell your friend, they are coming. No, I was speaking on your behalf. You spoke on your behalf. So you're a woman. So please tell your friends that we're coming out and taking over. They're doing much better. And I can see more men coming out now. I saw more men picking up forms in Abuja for different positions. And before, they were scared because of the expenses, the finances, the bullying, the intimidation. They will go, you see, woman is going to win, and what they do is that they oppress you. And then maybe they do a promotion or something. But now, I believe that women need to be looked much better. Keep coming out, don't stop, don't be scared, go for what you believe in, get all the support in the world. If you don't support, you support yourself. Like some women, they're like, but when I got my phone, like, where's she going? They called me, Kelly, go, no, far away, no, it's not far, it's very close, very near. You're going all the way. I'm going to cross the finish line. 9 women, we collected forms, 8 men. But during screening, they stepped down 5 women because of the promotions. And 4 of us were usually and stuff because of women. And later on, they called us to step down. 2 women got scared. They didn't show up at all. So it was me and St. Originally. But for some reason, the day before the election, she stepped down because of her own private reason. And I refused to step down. So believe that. So end of the day, I was the only woman standing with 6 men. They are like, Kelly, don't even stay 6 men. I said, no. If I'm going to cross that down, even if I get 0, put eyes and mouth and ears, I'll call Sonia and this girl kill a party for all class. That won't step me down. But end of the day, they gave me 1. I'm happy with the 1. At least it's a lift for all the way. So women, please don't give up. Don't give up. Please keep going. Take over from the men. Madam,
Madam, we take over from Madam. Yes, yeah.
Women are tough and cannot be trusted with power. That sounds like an oxymoron for me because your tough means you're disciplined, your tough means you are committed, your tough means that you are responsible, your tough means that you say a thing and you keep to it. So where does the can be trusted with power come in? Unless you're talking about the other kind of power, which is corruption power. Women can be trusted when it comes to corruption. They can't be trusted because they will not play that game. They will not play the corruption game. So if you think you're going to enlist women because of corruption, they won't play the game for you. It's an oxymoron because you have women who are literally raising the children, running the home, even when they're in a two-parent relationship. So we can't be trusted with national power, but we can be trusted to raise the next generation of children all by ourselves. Wherein lies the wisdom in that? Women can be trusted. We are teachers. We are coaches. We're the prayer warriors in the home. Let's look at nations where women have run government. Ethiopia, Namibia, Malawi, Liberia, Mauritius. These nations have thrived. Rwanda that we speak about today as being the #1 country in all the SDG parameters has 61% of women in parliament compared to Nigeria that has 6% and under. I think it makes common sense for them to be rushing Nigerian women to come into office because you need us. You need us to bridge that gap. We should not be begging, we should not be asking, we should not be fighting. You need women to come into office to provide the values that they bring. I say to people, if I was the only one that knew how to swim when your child is drowning, at that moment, will it matter that I'm female? Nigeria is drowning. Nigeria is drowning in debt. Nigeria is drowning in insecurity. Nigeria is drowning in all the indices of governance. And yet you don't want to keep women in government? I think all that needs to be said has been said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're running out of time, and this time around, in 2 minutes, how do you think that we can walk the talk beyond rhetorics, beyond, this advocacy, beyond what are practical things that we can do in the very immediate, in medium and long term? I want you to continue in that line of
I believe that we're on track. If the Houses of Parliament have agreed to review those gender bills, then we can begin to have conversations and begin to attract more women into the party hierarchy, allow indigenization for women, bring more women into appointed office, allow more women to take up responsibility in the corridors of power. That's where the conversation can begin. And I'm speaking about women who are meritorious. I did not say women who perhaps are friends of yours. No, I'm talking about a very privileged system that enables the most competent, the most capable women of character to naturally become people who are decision makers. I think that's where we can start.
Thank you very much. In 2 minutes, please. How can we overcome those obstacles that we have identified?
As you said, we need more women in offices. We have women there already. They can be promoted into bigger women. Give room for women to take control of the key offices and see how they perform. And now, in Abuja, during this morning, lots of women will be there waiting for their appointment. We should come together. Maybe for my sisters and Auntie Lady. I think she's been doing a lot in Abuja, and I've attended a few of her programs. So we need to bring women together more. Maybe we should fight for women to be in offices. We can't do it alone. We can do it together. So if you have a platform wherever you aspire to go for an office, we all go with you and make sure that we get that office. And make sure all the women behind you also do the same thing for them. So we can't do it alone, we can do it together. We need to all together, we can move a mountain. We can be a rock. And then men will know that we're here to stay. Because she's doing a lot. And I've attended a lot of that program. So that the men can sit back, we can be in the back benches, we can be in front. It should learn from the women. We have a lot of ideas. And we're working hard. We are homekeepers. We raise the men. We are the ones that, with their mothers, we never like to vote. So we cannot raise men. They expect us to stay back home. If you're a homekeeper, you can keep anywhere in the world. For charity begins from home. Thank you.
So, Your Excellency, how can we break that barrier, please?
I've just said it. We are going to start with anti-NF. That's the only solution. Agitation should still go on. That's just it. It's not easy for any man to say, we will give this to you. Nobody will give it to us. It is not served a la carte. I've experienced it. It's that agitation for 35% affirmative. Then it will be there. Nobody will struggle that. It will be the women struggling within ourselves. That's the only solution that I think we have.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your parting shots in 2 minutes.
Well, personally, I believe that we have to mobilize ourselves. We have to mobilize ourselves for the changes to our constitution so that more women will be opportune to participate in our development. There's a saying, I think we are in the majority in this country, and where is it that the minority rules the majority? It is just not fair. And we must ask for equity. We demand equity, and if we don't demand it, we will continue to be where we are. And I don't think that is where we want to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You will agree with me that this session has been very robust, very stimulating, and quite informative. It's a privilege and an honor to have chaired this session. I'd like to just do a brief summary, and then I'll call on you to appreciate the panelists. I think coming out from this panel are some very fundamental policy change initiatives that we must follow. We need to change some of our social norms, social orientation that seeks to relegate women. We need political and constitutional change that will hinge on social justice and equity. We need to engage the legal and policy framework such that it becomes more gender and women friendly. We need a parliament that is sensitive to women and gender issues, and also the need to mobilize ourselves. Even though the panelists are of the opinion that only women should be mobilized, I want to add that the men also must be mobilized to understand that a society works better when it works on the two legs rather than on one leg. And it's also not a struggle between men and women. I think that what we desire is a society that wants a better society for all. And so the narrative should not be, we chase the men away, you know, and all of those kind of narratives that we hear. I think that our society will be a lot better if, you know, there is some kind of consociational, you know, an harmonious working relationship between men and women. On this note, I'd like to thank all the panelists for their very insightful thoughts, and to also thank you, the audience, for being so wonderful, so patient and attentive, and to say we're going to draw the curtain for this panel. We thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. As the only woman here. Yeah, please. We will be pleased to request that you join. This is our photo session. And also, we will be pleased that you'll be part of this women folk. Auntie Ene, this is the space that I'm reserving for you. Yeah, so you will be here. And it will be my pleasure to have you here. I'm very sorry, but that's my desire. She's my mommy.
Just a minute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
So, thank you very much. Thank you, Excellency.